Hello, you're listening to Reviewing History, your comedy history podcast. I'm filmmaker and teacher Brian Rupert, joined here by...
As always, Steve Medaglia.
And...
Anthony Goliath.
And we have a very special guest here today. We have Crystal Quin from Hack the Movies.
Hello.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
So I want to give you a little background about your appearance before we begin. Yeah. So when I suggested to you that we do Blonde, Steve got mad at me.
Yeah.
We had a fight.
Yeah.
He was like, "Why are you asking the girl to do the
No. I wanted you to
This
pick
is spicy.
Oh, okay.
because you're a movie person, so like let her pick something. He's like, I'm gonna recommend Blonde. I'm like, don't do that. It's that movie's a little too much for YouTube, and it's just not. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm like, all right, I guess.
I was unaware of any of this.
Oh, great. You had no idea I was even going to be here today. Come in, you're like, who the hell's that?
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I want to ask, because Steve did say that it was possibly misogynistic of me to ask you to do Blonde. Do you think it is? Be honest.
I honestly thought it was more of just getting a female perspective.
That's what I
really
wanted.
did think that.
Oh, shit. You
Sure.
got put in your
I
place.
did think
That's
it.
fine.
Because I figured this is a movie I've wanted to watch since it came out, and then we kind of started the show, and I really didn't want three dudes to sit here and talk about Blonde.
That'd be
because
aggravating.
It's our perspective is not going to be the same as yours, and then you're our first female guest too, by the way.
Woo woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, first
Congratulations.
female.
We're breaking glass ceilings over
Yeah.
here.
I'm loving this.
So it was fortuitous that
tables.
we ended up doing Blonde. So
Sweet.
it was a specific purpose. Obviously, Blonde.
Like Chuck Berry. Do you know Chuck Berry's glass table thing?
People would shit on it.
Yeah. Chuck Berry used to like to hide under glass coffee tables and have women come in and shit on the top of the table.
I mean, there's a
No
fetish for
offense.
everything. Wait, so that's not what I was brought in here for? I was a little upset there wasn't a glass table when
Get him! Bring the glass table in. It's your cousin Marvin Berry. You know that new sound you was looking for? But Blonde is the story of Marilyn Monroe.
What?
I know.
I wouldn't say this is the story of
Well,
Marilyn Monroe.
that's the thing. It is and it isn't, but it's a fictionalized version of her. Where are we at as a table with Marilyn Monroe? Like, how familiar is everybody with her work? We all know who she is.
Right. Well, she is an icon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a full movie
Okay.
of any of them. I've seen scenes and things. I've watched like Bus Stop, like half of that once. And like scenes from it's the one with Jack
7 Year
Lemmon.
Itch?
No, the one with Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis.
That's 7 Year Itch.
no, it's
No,
not.
you're right. That's Some Like It Hot.
Thank
Fuck.
you.
Something like a hot.
But yeah, that's about it. I didn't know anything about this movie going in. Apparently, it's controversial.
Yes.
I could see why.
Yeah.
I could see why. I did not know much about Marilyn's life or anything. I knew like tidbits. I've never seen her work. It's
Okay.
I'm not.
We're not
enamored
people
by
from the
50s
50s.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like it was hard to gauge like what to expect going in.
What about you, Bren? You seen any of this
Yeah.
stuff?
The only one I had seen before watching Blonde was I saw 7 Year Itch like 10 years ago.
Just because of its iconic status.
Just because I was like, I'm a film guy, and how have I not watched a Marilyn Monroe movie?
Right.
So that was the one that I ended up coming across. And after I watched Blonde, I actually watched 3 Marilyn Monroe movies getting ready for this. I watched 7 Year Itch. I watched...
Gentlemen Prefer Blondes?
Yes, and I watched Some Like It Hot.
Well, those are the 3 big ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are the ones everyone knows of.
And what about you?
I've loved Marilyn Monroe growing up just from her being an iconic, beautiful woman. And it was always something, I always saw her as being powerful and
Sure.
being this actress and all this stuff surrounding her. I was like, that's something I always wanted to be. It was something I idolized. And I wasn't really huge on her movies because it's not my jam. It's not my, like, I'm not the big, I love Broadway and musicals, but like there's only so much I can handle. I'm a horror girl. I love horror and stuff like that. But I did really appreciate her and her work. So I do really love her.
Well, she's kind of larger than life. It's not just the movies. It's
No,
like
absolutely not.
just her existence is
Yes.
is this iconic
What was
thing.
the painting? Warhol? Didn't Warhol do that painting of her?
I think you're right.
Person.
He did do a painting of her, yeah.
Where it's like the multi-faces.
Yeah, it was,
of her.
yeah.
Icon.
Do we have anyone else on that level?
I was thinking of this. And
The only one I come up with is Britney Spears.
that's what my mind went to as well, Britney.
When
No.
can I ask, what do you mean by that level? Like,
Just
there's
of iconic status.
Global fame.
Madonna.
Madonna.
Because she broke also the glass ceiling, if you want to say, because she broke the glass ceiling of becoming, trying to create this, that sexuality is okay.
Absolutely.
Madonna did something similar. Madonna broke that 80s glass ceiling very similarly.
But whereas I feel like, and certainly the movie would tell you this, Marilyn was someone controlled by other people. At least it seems that way from the outside.
She wasn't.
Okay.
She wasn't. We'll get into
Madonna, on the other hand, is definitely the person in control of that.
But that's the problem, is they're, in real life, they are very similar. For their times. For their times, I will say.
I mean, she parodied Diamond's Our Girl's Best Friend, right? With the Material Girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. I find them to be very similar. The 80s did, I would say, Marilyn Monroe paved the way for Madonna to be able to be who she is.
100%.
Yes.
And then Madonna paved the way for Brit.
Absolutely.
It's Britney,
I'll
bitch.
And
absolutely
this
say
is what
that.
I'll say. I think that door is shut
Britney.
now.
Really?
I think our culture is
Desensitized.
not desensitized. I think it's too segmented, where there's no one that
Well, no one will reach those
that
heights.
height, where it's a household name that every single person knows.
Right.
There will be famous people, but I don't think it will be,
You're shaking your head.
giant.
You'll never have the Beatles again.
That's
You'll
what I'm
never
saying.
have
Right.
those types of icons. Now we're in a totally different thing where anyone could be famous. Right now with the strike going on,
Yeah, look at that.
right now with the strike. Aww.
Don't give him sympathy. Everyone fucking that listens to this show is always like, I love Anthony. Fuck Anthony.
Do you know how hard it is for him to walk around and be happy?
He's just living the Marilyn Monroe life.
Tortured
Anyone check
man.
how many drugs he had
I'm
before
a
he got
tortured
here?
man. I'm gonna get. Anyone have any barbiturates?
I heard the president's giving you a call later.
That's right.
Get him walks in.
Yeah, he's gonna come out of that room.
But yeah, because of the strike going on now, because a lot of actors can't show up and promote their own movies, now it's all social media people.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Really? Is that what they're doing?
Yes. So I went to the Twisted Metal premiere last Tuesday, and I got invited to the one this Monday for Red, White, and Royal Blue. It's
What's
another.
that?
It's another. Premiere.
Okay.
I don't know. My friend goes, "Hey, premiere, you're my guest." And I go, "Okay." So I don't ask questions. I show up. So yeah, I go, "What do I wear?" But the thing is, going to these, it's just influencers. I mean, it's fantastic marketing too.
Sure.
But everyone
it's
is
not
now
like-
obsessed with these
yeah.
other people that aren't in these unions anymore. That it's a totally different culture where, oh, look, someone that's on the TV, or how many people saw the iconic scene in New York? How many people showed up to that where she with her in her dress?
I actually know the number. It
Go
was
for it.
10,000.
10,000 for the
10,000
7-year
people?
scene.
Billy Wilder called up the press, and he had 10,000 people show up, and they were taking all the pictures as she's doing the scene.
Right.
There's a rumor that the footage was unusable and that they used a soundstage. That's a lie. They did use a soundstage combined with the real world footage.
And they managed to shut
And
everybody
they matched
up.
it. Wow. Yeah. But that 100% is real. Like in the movie, when you see it, there were crowds there, and Joe DiMaggio was on.
Yeah, but
person in
to
that.
her
Yeah.
point, though, if you get one streamer, they get millions of people watching,
Right.
as
Exactly.
opposed to 10,000.
Exactly.
You know, so
Now, am I wrong in thinking that those type of people, the influencer TikTok people, they don't really cross over to the older demographic at all? Whereas,
No.
like, I don't know any of those people.
Look, yeah, I'm an old man.
Anyone under 30 doesn't know those people, as far as I know. You know, I just found out about the NPC thing. You know, ice cream,
cream,
yum. Have you seen
Oh
this?
my God.
Do you know about this?
I'm also kind of jealous of how much money they're making.
Yeah.
I'm like, as dumb as that is, am I an idiot for not jumping on this?
I don't get it. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
Yum. Give me money.
Hot dog.
Like, words. Money, please.
it's like,
I can
why
do
would
it.
I do that? It's like, you'll make $2,000. I'm in.
Done. Yo, selling pictures of your feet online. I mean, it's a whole nother world right now, baby. make that money. Because
We're
I
doing
know
the
my
wrong
job. I know my job is not helping me.
Doing the wrong things.
Yeah. That's the whole thing of like, everyone's like, oh yeah, there's aliens happening. And we're like, yeah, are the aliens going to pay our rent? Like, do we really care at this point? Can we go there? Is there rent?
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Valid.
We're living in a much different time than Marilyn Monroe, basically.
And her death kind of is right before a lot of people would say America loses its innocence with the assassination of Kennedy
And the nom.
and all that. So it's like, it's this real window where like everything is booming for the country.
It's also the post-World War II thing. Like, it's this weird little period of time where, things are changing rapidly. You're right. I never thought about that. And she's kind of the queen of the whole thing, the whole era.
Yeah.
She's the figurehead of it.
Yeah, she died in 62. And like from the 50 to 62, that's a weird freaking time. Like
Technology just boosted to the public as well. So you have massive radios going at, like radio stations are becoming a thing, and media is becoming a thing. Like movies before the 40s,
Right.
you look at the difference between 40s and 50s, it's two different worlds.
There are technological and social revolutions happening at the same time.
All in a decade.
Yeah.
And America was booming. So you had the average person who didn't have a radio now has a radio. The average person who didn't have the money to buy newspapers is now buying newspapers.
She starts her career before TV and ends it with, I think, color TV.
62?
Could you?
That seems a bit early. I don't know.
Could you compare that though with like today-ish, with like
Absolutely.
the kids? Yeah, like before iPhones and everything. Like that's my generation, millennial, where I didn't have an iPhone. I didn't have an iPhone until after college because I refused to have one because I
Right.
didn't want to be addicted to it like everyone else. Then I needed it for a job, and I was like, oh shit. But
So you were late to the
it's like-
game.
I was way late to the game. But
What
I
year
remember-
did you get a Facebook? I think that's the.
Ooh.
That's
I
the.
got
I
a
know mine.
Facebook in. I don't know. It was probably
Because mine was 2007. I
I think
feel.
it was 2007 too.
I feel like I
Mine
was late to the game
2007.
with that. Yeah.
I was 2006 or 7 because if you remember at first you needed to be in college.
Right.
in
That's how
order
it
to-
started.
That's
Mine
why I had
was
mine,
right
yeah.
after college because I wasn't in college yet.
Okay.
So as soon as they stopped that, all my friends started going on that because I was a MySpace girl. I was
me
in
too.
Xanga. I was MySpace. I was doing all those cute.
Have you
little
ever had
things.
a fight about your top 8?
Oh hell yes! Yes, I said fuck that bitch. I'm leaving her over. She's not friend anymore. And you always had your boyfriend at the time as your number one, and you're like, wait a minute, why is he your number one too?
And somehow we all just knew HTML. Like we all just inherently knew it.
Yes,
Nobody taught us. We just kind of like, oh, I need a background.
it was amazing.
Very crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy time.
We were graphic designers. We didn't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's very easy to make the comparison between the 1960s and, say, the last 10 years. There's a lot of changes happening that we have not even begun to reckon with yet, as far as socially anyway. Economically, things seem to be kaput. But
So, let's start the movie.
all right,
Let's
let's
dive in.
start the movie.
All right.
Let's jump
Let's
right
get
in.
into this.
So, first, the lead actress, Ana de Armas. She's great in it,
She is.
right? What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't think so?
No. Okay. For the role she was given under that direction, I think everyone was phenomenal in this movie. I think she did a great job. Besides, her accent kept taking me out.
Is she foreign?
Yes.
She's Cuban.
Okay.
Her accent kept taking me out. But the only thing the director really paid attention to was wanting her to really look and act like her, but not really dive into the character.
Oh, not at all. And I think that's deliberate.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I
think there's some messaging in the movie.
I hate this director so much. Oh, I will. Not
Do you like
hold
his
back.
other stuff, or is it just
I don't
this
give
movie?
a fuck about his other stuff at this point. I don't want to look at his other stuff. He can go.
Who directed this?
His name is, I think, Andrew Nichols. Andrew Dominic.
Andrew
Dominic.
Dominic.
Yeah.
My brother's name.
Is it really?
Yes,
Oh,
it's his
yeah.
middle name.
Did he direct this?
He may have.
He's Australian.
Let me meet him. I got some quotes from this motherfucker.
I'll say this. I love his other movie.
What is it?
The assassination of
Jesse
Jesse
James.
James by the coward Robert Ford.
That's another kind of people. I never saw it, but I know people hate that movie.
So I feel like this is a guy who's always...
He hates his audience.
He hates the audience.
Yeah.
And he's giving you the middle finger the entire time you're watching the movie.
Yeah.
Because
Which
let me
I
take
kind of
something you
respect.
Yeah, it's like, what do you love? And I'm going to make you hate it.
Yeah, so
Like-
that's the thing with this. If anyone who hasn't seen it, like it is not a fun movie to watch. It's incredibly
No.
unenjoyable. It's a
Very dark.
It is 3 hours of abject misery. Like there is not a happy scene in the whole movie.
No.
No.
That being said, I kind of respect it a lot just because it's really subversive. Like it is not going with mainstream attitudes or trends whatsoever. Like you said, it hates the audience.
That's what I like about it.
That's what I like about it too.
It's like mean. And
Right.
it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I would enjoy it if it didn't diminish such an iconic, powerful person. I would
Right.
like it, if it was a fictional character. I would have liked it.
It portrays her as an eternal victim.
It does, and she's not.
Yeah.
She's nowhere
Right.
near a
They
victim.
do her completely dirty. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
They do everyone dirty.
They do everyone. But
Oh,
his-
yeah.
They hit everyone.
Yeah, he says this movie is about human connection. He didn't care about the movie, about her. That's actually a quote from him. That is a
funny.
quote from him.
I don't think it is.
No, that's why I'm laughing.
He says the movie's about human connection, and that he wanted people to leave the theater feeling anger. And I was like,
You do that. Yeah, you do
But
that.
I didn't feel anger. I felt anger because of him. For the
felt
way he
no.
portrayed her.
He wants us to feel connected in anger. Oh.
And you know
That
what?
makes sense. And
He's playing
a Steven.
chess.
Anyone who isn't too familiar, like a younger person who isn't too familiar with Marilyn Monroe, you're going to walk out of this having the wrong idea.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
Yes, you will.
You're going to hate Hollywood, which... no, whatever.
Well, maybe you should.
maybe you should.
May I say some quotes from him?
Yeah.
From this
Go ahead.
brilliant
I see a
person.
list.
Not only like the movies about having human connection, she had to be a little baby. So when she sings "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend," it like
Baby shit.
is.
I hate it.
We will get into that.
Daddy.
He says, "Is that sisterly advice that if you're gonna fuck, make sure you get paid, or is it romanticizing whoredom?" And I'm like, you're acting like she fucking wrote the movie, dude.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. So, does anyone watch Marilyn Monroe movies? Whole lot of movies that no one really watches. I'm not interested.
That's fucked up.
Well, yeah, but
These
you know
are
what?
actual words that he said.
All three of us just said we'd never seen them.
Well, when they were coming out, the whole world saw them.
Yeah,
That's true.
and they still
That's
are
true.
iconic. Like,
Old
school
You're doing
movies
a
now.
movie
Yeah.
about this person's work, and you're like, and
It seems like he hates her.
it
Yes.
does,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what
Does
I got.
he hate her or the industry?
Her.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that
Yeah.
basically she's just this whore because he...
Continue, yeah.
Well, he says, I'm not interested in reality. I'm interested in images.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie is about how childhood drama shapes an adult's perception of the world. So I think he honestly just needed some image of a famous person to be able to convey the story he wanted to
It
tell.
could have been about anybody.
This is more about the book.
Right.
But he doesn't talk about that. He doesn't mention that. He doesn't say anywhere in the movie that this is based off the book. This is a fictional thing. It's just known as being basically is put out there as this biography of her. And
Right,
it's not.
because
It's
it
biopic.
includes real stuff. Like there's
Yeah,
real
they
things.
mix real
They
things
mix
in.
real things, and therefore it gets the veneer of being a true story.
yes.
Yeah.
Seen that
Where-
a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
On this show.
And it is definitely not that. It's based off a novel by Joyce Carol Oates. And I say novel, meaning
It's fiction.
Fiction.
Novel,
She admits
Right.
that it's fiction. She
Right.
straight up says it's fiction.
And from what I understand, he like cherry picked certain scenes he wanted to portray. It's not even like faithful to her novel. It's I want the most horrific shit in this book, and I'm going to put it on screen.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted to do.
He wanted to create a shock factor film.
Right.
That's all he wanted to do.
I totally agree with that. He wanted to be
Fucking
a provocateur
Right.
with this, and that's what he did.
As despicable as it is.
There's some artistry to it.
And I think he succeeded.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
I
the
think he succeeded.
He's an artist.
in
He
his
did.
role.
don't get me wrong. The film is beautifully shot. The black and the
It's
white,
4:3.
Even
the
some
color.
of the scenes are
yes,
fantastic.
They're
The weaving in and out of like memories and reality was
beautiful.
like
Absolutely.
He did great on that. And then the context is like, this movie should not be titled Blonde. Really shouldn't. It should just be like
Brunette.
women get raped.
Yes.
Like, that's what it should
Yes. Fuck women.
That's what it
like,
is. Yeah, that's exactly
I felt
what it is.
so disgusted after watching this, and my ass has watched Cannibal Holocaust multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
like after this movie, I was like, I feel sick.
Where are you at with Salo? Have you watched Salo?
He loves
Salo?
talking about Salo.
It's one of my favorite movies.
I haven't
You
seen
watch
that
it once a
yet.
week,
It's
right?
fucked up.
You just,
Well, I mean, like,
If
we're
you,
not
want
talking.
if you want to feel bad, give it a watch.
Is that like better or worse than like the Serbian film?
I haven't
but-
seen a Serbian film.
Don't. There's no reason to. Unless you
Salo
want to
is
see
like
babies
one of
get
those
raped.
things where it's like, it's just designed to make you feel uncomfortable and like shit at the end.
That's what a
Serbian
Serbian film
film.
is, but they literally like they have sex with a baby.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You said the movie's anti-woman, and I didn't get that. So I want to talk about that for a second.
Sure.
There are no, like, every man in the character is a piece of shit. It's not like they're being glorified. She's sympathetic. I don't think she's like evil or anything.
No.
What was your feeling with that? I mean, yes, obviously there's
Yes.
horrible imagery on the screen, but it's not. I don't think it's making her personally look terrible.
I would say when I say it's, I wouldn't say, let me take back anti-woman,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say it's definitely anti-Marilyn Monroe.
Maybe.
Anti-everything she stood for,
Mm-hmm.
because she was not weak. She was not a
Right.
weak person, and this entire movie made her weak as
It also
hell.
made her seem dumb when she's
And
actually
she
quite
is
intelligent.
not dumb at
No.
all
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Right.
She's massively
Great
intelligent.
businesswoman.
Right.
She had her own production studio.
That's something I want to get into.
I
yeah.
do too.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
She's on the brilliance of Lucille Ball, I
Oh,
would
yeah.
say. And yet, how dare you take that image and you ruin it?
They had to take
That's
all
what I
the
don't like.
agency away from her to make her a victim that people pity. That's really what he did in the movie.
But
You're
and
right.
Why didn't you see any of the other females that came into her life in this movie? This movie just shows nothing but males. There is
And her mother.
And her mother, who is also crazy. Who is
Yes,
crazy
right.
in this
In
movie.
real life.
That's real.
That
Yeah.
is real.
Her
But it's
mother
real
was
to another
schizophrenic.
level, though.
Mm-hmm.
But it's to a different level, not to the level that they portrayed. So her image is nothing but being surrounded by disgusting men. And yes, it's more like anti-industry kind of more, I would say, because it's not
That I
saying
agree
that
with,
men
yeah.
are wonderful in this at all. It's not. It's showing horrific things that men are
Mm-hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
It's anti-Hollywood.
It's very anti-Hollywood. And I do appreciate that, actually, because that stuff
That's
still happens
what I
today
liked
all
about
the
it.
time.
Yeah.
I do like the anti-Hollywood, but I don't like that it
Diminishes.
Thank you. I am horrible at speaking. Let me do a podcast. Yes, it completely just does that to her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very upsetting.
But yeah, let's dig into the
movie.
movie.
All right. So we open in the movie. It's LA 1933. There's a birthday surprise, and it's a picture of her dad, supposedly. And
Yeah.
it's just some guy with a mustache who I was like, is that supposed to be Clark Gable? You know, I was like, I don't know.
Man in fedora
Yeah.
with mustache.
And the mother's like, I can't say the name.
Yeah, well, the heavy implication is that he's a big-time Hollywood producer.
Yes,
some
that's what
kind
they're
of-
saying.
Yeah. I read that she grew up believing that her father was a guy named Charles Stanley Gifford,
Yes.
who was a Hollywood producer. So that's obviously what they're drawing upon here. She never really found out. I think recently...
In 2022, they found out.
you
Yes.
go.
Oh, did they?
There was
Yeah.
some
I
didn't know
DNA tests done, and they found her niece, her biological niece.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the names. Did
is
you look
it?
this up, Brian?
I had it, and I fucking here. Wait. In 2022, DNA testing indicated that Monroe's father was Charles Stanley Gifford.
It was him.
It was him.
It was him.
So she was right.
Yes.
Okay. So the movie's good there. When
Yeah.
year did this come out, by the way?
Yes.
This came out in 2019, I believe.
But what, but in the
No,
movie
sorry,
would-
2022.
22, yeah, it's
Oh, right on time.
The movie would have you believe that was like a driving force in her character, just finding out who her father was. And
I don't know anything
can't
about
imagine
that.
So,
being the
so
case.
they actually didn't put in some horrific shit from her actual life in this. It's like some of the most fucked up shit that happened to her. They cut it out
As
of
a
the
child?
movie. Yeah. So she was molested in an
Yeah.
orphanage,
Oh,
like
God.
several times throughout her life, like sexually abused as a child, and like she had she did have trauma from that, and she was like fucked up
course.
forever.
Yeah.
But the movie where you're trying to show like all this fucked up shit. somehow you don't show the most fucked up thing.
Yeah.
You know? But that's real.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't. I read somewhere that her grandmother actually tried drowning her, and it wasn't her mom. But also, she was put in an orphanage at 2 weeks old.
Right.
So she was put in or she was put into foster parents. That's what it was. It was foster parents, and her mom would give her the family $25 every month, and would visit her almost like every other weekend to make sure she still was in that life. And then at 7 years old, she took her back, living in this house only for a couple of years until she was about 10 years old when her mother had an episode and was in and out of hospitals. And that is when she was put into orphanage. And that one scene where she is yelling, "I'm not an orphan, I'm not an orphan," that's actually real.
That's real.
She actually did start yelling and that she wasn't an orphan. And she was in and out of families and friends of her mother's, in and out. And that, I mean, I can't imagine being given up by people that say that they love you and then being passed along. Like,
and some of those people molested her too.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, her life was fucking hard.
And that's kind of the theme, part of the theme of the movie. And I think this comes from quotes she said later in life, that she was comfortable being, belonging to the nation, belonging to the world, because she never belonged to anyone else. This is why she's like constantly conflicted. Am I Marilyn Monroe? Am I Norma Jean Baker? Her childhood and early life, she had no identity. Her mother was in and out of insane asylums her whole life. And like you said, she's being passed around between friends and family and into orphanages, and then until she's an adult, and now she's thrown into this horrendous world that is 1940s and 50s Hollywood.
Yes. Well, not even as she decided to marry at the age of 16 so she can get out of an orphanage.
Yep.
She was going to go back to an orphanage.
I didn't know
and
this at all.
She said, fuck, this is what I'm saying about this. She is not weak. And they portrayed her so poorly in this. She stood up for herself, because you can go two ways when it comes to trauma. You can either let it crumble your life, or I think personally in my decision, or my perspective is, you have a choice to be able to say, fuck, either you live in that shit or you say, fuck that shit, I'm going to become better.
Rise above it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what she did. She said, I'm not going back in that fucking orphanage. I'm going to go marry this really hot guy at high school who's a friend of mine. His name, that was
He's joining
Jeff
the military.
Doherty. Yeah.
James Doherty.
Yes.
Which isn't touched upon at all in this.
They don't
Not at
mention
all.
it.
Not even remotely close.
No.
Because that would give her agency.
Yes.
Right.
And they want her to be a victim for the
No.
entirety
and
of her
she
life.
just lived a decent life for a couple years, where she went to go work in a factory, like at those during World War II and stuff like that.
I
She
saw
was working in
pictures
the
of that.
Yes.
Like,
Well, that was
there's
the
like
reason.
colored pictures of her working in the factory. And
Well,
I
that's
think
how she got
started. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was from that photographer.
Like,
That
how do you-
photographer is like,
not even
oh,
like
shit.
a scene of that. Like
Exactly. She was just doing normal things. But her
Right.
entire life, she wanted to be an actor. That was her getaway, was going to the movies. And she would come back and reenact films and practice. Like, she knew she was going to be an actress since she was a child.
Sure.
She's probably one of the first generations where it's like, you're really growing up with
movies.
being
Yeah.
a thing.
That's a good point.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's like, and you would go back then and you would see 2 or 3 movies
I
in
mean,
a
she
row.
dated Charlie Chaplin's son.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
real.
boy. Oh, boy.
They did date. They did date. It wasn't a throuple, though.
It wasn't a weird gay
Throuple.
threesome.
Yeah.
Fuck anyone how much that in their mind is in fucking sane.
There was no
In
Geminis.
1930s.
You know what's great? Is it's like they portray them as like these. Well, they're always topless.
Yeah.
They're like these stud muffins. Meanwhile, the fathers that we know, it's Charlie Chaplin, who is the Hitler mustache goofball with big pants, and Edward G. Robinson, who's a midget that goes, meh, see?
You don't think
And then
that
you
makes
got their sons. We are the greatest specimens of Greek men you've ever seen.
Did you look up Charlie Chaplin's son, what he looks like?
No, I didn't.
He's not even as good looking as Charlie Chaplin. he's like just like kind of an ugly dude. It's like, yeah.
No. These are the only men that can ever give her a waterfall rush of an
Yes, Niagara Falls is on screen.
Literal Niagara Falls. You're probably seeing it if you're watching the video right now.
Man, so you're gonna make your shoes look like a lake. Charlie Chaplin trips over an ottoman.
I was pantomime something, but I was like, I can't do Charlie silent.
Oh my god! But they had the timing completely messed up too. Like they kind of showed her going through the Strasbourg acting studio. What it looked like in the beginning.
Yeah.
She didn't go to the actor studio until after she started her production company, and that was way later. So they're all messed up.
I think they're just showing her when she was taking some early acting classes, like early in her career.
Well, she didn't. Yeah. Well, she started taking acting classes when she.
It wasn't the Strasbourg ones. It was like these earlier.
No, she did it when she
classes.
got picked up by Fox. 21st Century Fox
Yeah.
is when she started taking advantage of every single class. Like she took horseback classes, dance classes, singing class. She took every.
She's
class
gonna be a big
possibly
star. Acting lessons, dancing.
And with all
lessons.
of that, the movie summed it up as she goes to an interview, gets raped, gets a role. Like that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen. Which didn't happen.
So that was there's no evidence of that whatsoever.
So yeah,
No,
I don't
she's
find
against
anything.
that.
So I actually watched a documentary that is on Netflix as well. I think it's called the Marilyn Monroe tapes, and it's the guy. It's good. It's the guy who did her biography, and it's him calling up basically everybody, and they're playing different tapes.
Is it Norman Mailer?
I don't know the guy. It's a British guy.
Okay.
I don't know who
Well,
it
there
is.
was the reason I bring that up is because there's a guy named Norman Mailer who wrote a biography of her, and that's where all this abortion stuff comes from.
Really?
Like, there's no evidence that she had any.
No.
There's zero evidence about
Right.
abortions.
So this guy Norman Mailer interviewed her friend from back then who said this.
Okay.
And that's the only place this comes from at all. It's not based on any kind
So
of
the government
Okay.
isn't kidnapping people and forcing abortions.
Yes, the Kennedy administration is having G-men drag her through hallways and doing forced abortions. Yeah, that was quite shocking,
Wait.
wasn't it?
Hold on. Before we get there.
So yeah, back to this.
So this guy in the
Before we get there.
the guy in the documentary called up like the secretary of Fox and an agent and like all these different people, and basically what they were all saying was it was like that was how Hollywood was conducted at the time. She wasn't raped. It was just Hollywood was driven by sex. And she slept with the guy to get parts and stuff.
I have no doubt that what was portrayed on screen happened to thousands of girls.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why they did it. Like it wasn't like this happened to her. It was like
They
this
want you to
happened
think of
in
Harvey
this
Weinstein.
world.
Of
It
course.
still happened.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I get it.
I don't think she did sleep with any, or if she did, it was like her choice. But
It was her choice, 100%, based on what I saw in the
But
doc.
definitely not with what was his name? What was the one they were
first
actually
production
The
company.
guy they're
lead,
portraying is a guy named Daryl F. Zanuck.
who actually is known for being a piece of shit
Right.
and would flash women all the time and do that kind of stuff. But the fact that Marilyn Monroe,
Because,
later,
nothing turns on a young lady like
Woo!
an older gentleman going, what do you think of this?
balls. Look at those big old wrinkled balls. Yeah.
Is that from Louis C.K.'s new special?
Block the way, CK.
I don't know. Yeah, that gets me like into any film I want. I'm just like, can I see your balls first? But she wrote an article though in a magazine that says the wolves I have known, and she talks about the casting couches and how they're all over the place. But there has never been evidence that she actually did it, and there was never evidence of her ever being raped because she straight up said she denied parts because she wouldn't have sex with them. She says that in her
So it
article.
actually hurt her career.
Yes.
Yeah, in
absolutely.
hindsight.
Absolutely. Because that was everything she was against. And that's why this
Right.
movie makes me so angry, is because it portrays her as what she didn't want. Is exactly the opposite of what she was striving for.
Right.
She was a person that, or at least I would like to think from what I've read and seen, that she was a person that if someone's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have sex before you get this role, she'd go fuck yourself. I'm gonna, because everywhere else where she's got so tired, she started her own production company.
I think later she would have that power to say no.
Oh, definitely.
But I think when you're the nobody and they control the entire industry,
That's a good
that's
question.
when I think
How long was
it
she
happens.
in
if it
Nobody.
did
No, but she
happen, that's
wasn't-
when it is.
Yes.
I feel like
But
she was never a nobody.
That was the thing. She wasn't that big of a nobody at that point.
Yeah, like
she was
she
an
was
up
a
and
big
coming.
model, and like taking pictures, and people knew about her. And then like I think what was her first movie? I don't think it was like a flop or small at all.
I don't
For
know.
the first movie she was ever like largely in.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean, she was
feel like it
doing-
was
When she
early
did
in her
Gentlemen's
career.
Preferred Blondes,
That was
she was
already
not the
huge.
biggest star in the movie. It was Jane
Russell.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a whole scene where she's mad about the pay.
pay. And
That is a
Yeah.
true thing too.
Yeah. Like Jane Russell was a much bigger star at that time.
Right.
She ended up so because she wasn't getting that many large roles, they actually terminated her. Fox ended up terminating her contract after 2 years, and then Columbia actually picked her up, and that's when she started changing her hair color because it was Natasha Lightis, who was the head drama coach over at Columbia, and they said they noticed that there wasn't enough blondes in the industry. They didn't have that. It was missing. It was like something that was just not there. So they said we're gonna fill in that
Are you
gap.
saying it's a dye job?
It is a dark job.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Mind blown.
She based her look on a 30s actress whose name is escaping me right now. I want to say
Jane Seymour.
like Eve
It
Morgan
was-
or something. I can't fucking remember her name. You know who I'm talking about, but it
Brian.
doesn't matter.
This is. Did you think of it? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The studio system.
Yes. You want to talk about?
Tell me about it, because this is
Okay.
important to understand.
Yes. Okay. So the way the studio system worked, and Marilyn Monroe kind of almost kickstarts its fall, right? So the way the studio system works is, let's say all four of us are studios, right?
Okay.
I'm Fox,
I wanna
you're
be Warner
Columbia,
Brothers.
you're Warner Brothers, and you're RKO. So we all have our stable of actors and actresses
Yeah.
that you sign to deals, right? But
Almost like a sports team.
it's almost like a sports team, except
But you have ownership,
you can
kinda.
fuck them bad because
Literally.
it's not just that. You have to do 7 pictures, and you're only allowed, let's say, to say no to 2. I could just give you nothing but garbage shit pictures and ruin your career.
Right.
So if you want to play ball, you have to
Do what they want.
do what I want, which
As
could
the
be
studio
sexual
head.
favors or
Right.
starring in a thing or taking a pay cut or whatever. Only the people that are so big, like Marilyn gets, even have a chance to fight against the system.
Because they make so much money.
Because they make so
Make
much
the
money.
studio so much
She can also do things on her own.
Right.
You know, your average person, like a Jane Russell, probably doesn't have that ability to fight against the studio.
Right.
And whatever they say, they're going to do.
And now
That's-
what brought this down? What killed it?
So strikes.
This is in the 60s.
This is in the 60s. Kind of like now. The industry had all these big budgets. All the 50s and 60s shit, like Ben-Hur that we love.
The epics.
The epics.
Yeah.
They led to the death of the studio because they were so expensive. And everything was being filmed in, 70s.
in Technicolor.
Yeah, and everything is big, huge budget sets, all this. Everything just got bloated and more expensive. Big run times.
Is this kind of like almost why United Artists took off a little more?
Well, that was the union, right?
That United Artists started because of Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, I know that, but I wonder if that's why. Like,
It was kind of. It was like
you had more people joining them.
it
at
was
the
the
point.
artists that, had already made a name kind of setting themselves up where they could do what they want.
Yeah.
You had Charlie Chaplin, Errol Flynn, Doug Fairbanks. You had those guys starting early United Artists.
Was that almost what she did too, kind of, by starting her own studio?
She had her own production company, which
that
is
worked for studios.
Yes.
Ah, okay, I see.
Well, yeah, they would call her up and be like, "Hey, we have this film."
Eventually, she worked out a deal where it was like, for every one Fox movie she made, she could make one Marilyn Monroe MMP picture. So
I see.
Because she was just tired of getting these shit movies. She was
Right.
just so tired of it.
it was also like,
It's a way to circumvent the bigwigs.
you're a dumb
Yes.
blonde again. You're a dumb blonde
right.
again.
And that's all
You're
she
a
got.
blonde
Be
gold
dumb, be
digger.
dumb.
And it's like, she actually had range and was a way better actress than
Then
she
they
gets
let her
cre-
be.
Exactly. Because the asset of the movie, the way it's marketed is, come
Here's a
look
hot
at-
chick.
Look at Marilyn Monroe
Yeah.
be hot. And it's like, they're not going to market her in something where it's like, she's dark and not sexy in every scene.
Right.
Because it defeats their moneymaker.
Yeah. God forbid a woman is intelligent and sexy. God fucking forbid.
So that's the thing. All her things, like, for the most part, are comedies. It's very rare where she actually got to flex her range. Eventually, she did later, but
That's interesting because it kind of paves the way for someone like Meryl Streep to come later. You know, who's just like
Meryl's a phony baloney.
well,
Whoa! What the?
Seinfeld.
I was so worried. I referenced Seinfeld in every episode somehow.
Do you like Seinfeld?
I do. I didn't get that right away.
So I was
On my podcast, the host also mentioned Seinfeld 24/7, so I'm a little upset I didn't get that.
I referenced
Oh,
in
that
every
Meryl Streep.
Yeah,
She's such a phony baloney.
I reference it
Nah,
every
I
episode,
remember.
and he hates it. And this episode
don't
coming
like
in,
the
I was
show.
like, man, am I going to be able to reference Seinfeld? Fuck, I don't know how I'm going to weave it in organically. And then he said that. It was like, yes.
I line them up, you knock them down,
Yeah.
bro.
Damn.
Well, yeah, you get someone like Meryl Streep where it's based on her talent and not her looks, you know?
Right.
It's not the bombshell, whereas like, I guess the modern equivalent of someone where it's based on her looks more than her talent would be like early Megan Fox. Like in the first Transformers, you know, where it's like the posters are her like bending down, showing her ass.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, in like that first Transformers movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's also a lot of the
There's always gonna be a
80s
market for
horror.
that.
Yeah.
The 80s horror is nothing but it's
Scream
sexy
Queens?
girls. Oh, I can go on for hours about that shit.
Tits.
I love, yeah. And it wasn't until Sigourney Weaver in Aliens is when they completely changed that into where here's a badass final girl who doesn't. I mean, yeah, she definitely has a sexy scene, panties, but that's not the point of it.
No.
Yeah, the scene was warranted.
And in the 80s, you have all the, you know, the Animal House Porky's shit where it's like, it's a comedy, but it's really like,
Just
look
an
at
excuse to
tits.
look at tits.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
We'll
I
talk
mean,
about those in the next show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like tits are great. I love tits, but like, Jesus.
Who doesn't?
Exactly. Who doesn't like that? It will be world peace, boobs. But that also did help Marilyn though when the pictures came out,
Oh,
Right.
people thought it would ruin her career, and it has the adverse effect.
and that's what I loved about her because she was so smart about it. Where the studio actually said, because they called her up when she was on set, and they're like, "Hey, this is what happened. Like these photos are out. Is this you? Is this really you?" Because she did these photos because she just needs to make rent. She told herself she would never do nudes. She would never do that kind of stuff. But she denied the offer at first. But she was so far behind on rent. She actually goes there.
Desperate times.
Yeah, it used to have the name of whoever it was.
the photographer.
But yeah,
But it didn't
but
backfire.
it didn't backfire.
Yeah,
That was the
it helped
best
her.
part
Right.
because she actually asked the photographer, said, "No one's going to recognize me, right?" And he said, "No, no one will ever recognize." And she completely forgot about it until they were actually, without her permission, put onto a calendar. And that calendar
They show it in
was
the-
everywhere, and that is true. And that moment is a more realistic thing where she's seeing this calendar where you see it where she's about to go and
Yeah.
before she like does the
actors.
threesome. Yeah.
LA's acting circle in 1950.
That's what it
Yes.
was. Yeah. So before their little threesome bullshit,
Yeah.
they slightly have her seeing this calendar, but it wasn't when she found that out. It was when she was in the studio filming,
Right.
and they were like, "Hey, is this true?" And she's like, "Yeah." They're like, "Say that you didn't do it." She goes, "But I did."
People with eyes can tell.
Yes. She's like, "But I did do it." And the thing is, she refused to back down.
Can we airbrush that mole out and say it to someone else?
It's Robert De Niro.
But like, the thing is, like, I have the picture right in front of me, so I have
Yes.
the Playboy. It's,
Gonna hold that up to the camera.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
I might have to.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
You can
okay.
blur it.
YouTube
Yeah.
does
I can
not like
blur it,
that.
yeah.
But the thing is, it's actually a very tasteful photo.
That's
You
Sure.
don't-
quintessential pinup.
It is, and it says at the bottom, it says the smartest $500 any publisher ever spent. Bought Hugh Hefner the rights and the color separation plates to this photograph of Marilyn Monroe. Our first undated cover proclaims, first time in any magazine, full color, the famous Marilyn Monroe nude. The issue sold an astonishing 77%, thanks in part to the person who we call our sweetheart of the month. But this photo,
What year was that? Do we know?
The photo?
Yeah. Well, that Playboy put it out.
Playboy put it out. It has to be.
Well, that was.
Well, this
that-
is
No,
Right,
that's talking about a historical
Yeah.
event
yeah,
essentially.
this is the 13th anniversary issue. This
30th.
Is 30th. Wow, I can't read. definitely 30th. 1984 is when this issue came out.
But when
doesn't
was the
say.
photo?
1953.
53. Okay.
December 1953 was the first Playboy issue with Marilyn Monroe.
Okay. Oh, she's in the first issue?
Playboy #1. They literally,
Wow.
the empire was built around her.
God damn it, she really is historically important.
Yes.
That's kind of goes back to the
She invented porn.
the tits that built America.
that goes back.
And that's all
to,
it
like,
is. It's just tits.
Yeah, the beginning of the conversation when it's like, is anybody gonna ever hit that level again? No.
No.
Never.
No.
It's not happening.
No, like you have like
There's
the iconic
bands
like
named after her.
exactly. Like you
Really?
have Barbie Benson.
Marilyn Manson.
Oh, Marilyn. Yeah.
But you have iconics that have been in this magazine, like Barbie Benson and so many other iconics, but no one as iconic as Marilyn Monroe. And the fact that these images were stolen.
Yeah.
These are stolen images. The first Playboy magazine is based off of stolen images. I used to be a huge
It's the
Hugh
story of
Hefner.
porn, isn't it?
Yes, I was a huge Hugh Hefner fan, and then I found out all that like creepy bullshit that he did, and I was like, I'm not a fan anymore.
Yeah, you can't trust anyone who wears a robe all the time.
Just out of pure
red.
jealousy, to be
All the
honest.
time.
Like red velour constantly. Like
He looks
everywhere.
comfortable.
He is a comfy guy.
Knee-high
He was a
socks
comfy
and a
guy.
pipe.
All right, so in the
just being
movie,
jealous.
I guess we're in the actor circle now, right? She's with Charlie Chaplin Jr., Edward G. Robinson, and they have the gay three-way.
Well, they don't say hi. She walks in and it's like, we're dancing now.
Yeah, they're playing piano.
That's what happens when we get him when we walk in. He takes us and just rolls us around.
Yeah. And they look at the stars.
Yes.
And then they make a pact.
That-
And I forgot what the pact is.
They'll always love each other.
right.
And if like,
and
they'll
by the way,
die
I'm
for
going
each
to do
other.
the most
It's stupid.
needlessly
They're
cruel
Geminis.
thing ever to you.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah.
But I love you. Which is complete fake. It never happened.
My wife watched this movie like months ago, and I didn't see it. I didn't watch it with her. She watched it alone, and she hated it so much. And when I told her we were watching this, she was just like, that fucking rabbit at the end. She hated it so. Like, why would he do that?
It's like the most evil catfish ever, and it's not real at all. This never happened.
Like most of this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, she wasn't doing lewd acts in movie theaters, watching her own movies with two dudes.
Yeah, being.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh yeah, she's skiing in the movie theater.
She wasn't the skiing. She was
She was
the
getting finger banged.
the slope.
You're right. You're
This
right.
motherfucker was the slope.
Like, what is happening? What is happening? And she's just like, this is normal.
Yeah, just like legs wide open, two like hands up in her.
Yeah, there's like two kids next to you. Like, what?
A packed
totally
theater.
normal.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah. That's normal, right?
Man, see?
I did do something like that once at a baseball game. Yeah. Yeah. Upper deck at the Mets in like 2008.
With your two dude friends?
No.
You finger popped some chick at the Mets game?
No, I was
you have-
finger popped. No, yeah.
One guy on
Yeah.
each side of you? Just
Yeah, me and my
Where
ex.
is this going?
Upper deck in like August at a Mets game in like
Were there people around?
2008. It was a Mets game in like 2008. No. We were in like the last row in upper deck.
You were
Yeah.
filmed.
Probably.
Some
This
camera
was
guy caught
2008.
you.
It was right before.
It still happens. I just went and saw
Yeah.
Insidious 5, and it was myself and two of my friends, and then there's another two couple all the way in the back corner, and they were not watching the movie.
Wow.
When we saw
Yeah, I was like,
Titanic
woo, it
3D
was
together,
worse.
the three of us, there was one other couple in the movie theater.
I like
They
that you
sat, like,
one
right in the
other
front.
couple. You consider the three of
Well,
We
us.
we're a
have a
throuple.
Marilyn Monroe relationship. Yes.
Love it.
Steve's like, promise me, guys.
Yeah, Steve calls us both daddy often.
All right, real quick. We have a friend who demands that. All right, we have a friend who demands that everyone calls him daddy.
We
Yeah.
do.
And it's like,
We do call him it.
so like, we just started doing it almost like ironically, but every time they were saying it in the movie,
You thinking of him?
I was thinking of him. Did it pop in for you?
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
I wish it had.
Can I ask why?
He's fucking crazy.
Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both that just makes sense. Crazy Mexican guy. Yeah, he's
Call me daddy, yeah, sure. I hate when people call them daddy. Like,
I don't like it.
I hate it. I think it's disgusting. And it's like, well, let's show more
Yes,
daddy,
daddy.
issues. It's
And-
all about
this was
daddy
excessive.
issues.
Yeah.
And that's something they
excessive.
took from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Oh, does she
I
do
just
it in
watched
that?
it today. And in that, she's like, yes, daddy. And she keeps saying it like flirting with men. So they took a character attribute of a character she played.
And put it on
And
her.
they're like,
That's
this
her
is her.
That's great.
This is kind of a hit piece, this movie, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's character assassination, 100%.
You know what's funny?
It
I
is.
didn't understand what people were mad about when it came out, and as we're going through this, if you know now, it's like, oh, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I get why now.
Oh, did people hate this?
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
it's
It's
a
like
really
revered.
divisive, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this.
Over
It's rated
violence.
NC-17. This is the first
Yeah.
NC-17 film we're doing on the show. I don't think it's worthy of an NC-17. I feel like there's way harsher
The
shit.
Kennedy scene is definitely
that's what
quite
it is.
gratuitous.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
that's the.
That's
Well,
it.
Yeah.
They have
That's what did it.
JFK raping her, basically. So,
Well, I mean, there's a long,
and a long
blowjob.
scene, yeah.
That is the most awkward.
Which is
scene.
weird
Yeah.
because I wanted to do Caligula. I was told no.
I didn't tell you no.
I didn't tell you no either. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, who picked this fucking movie?
That's me.
All right, where are we in the film?
Okay, so they had
gets
their gay
pregnant.
three-way, the theater finger bang.
Woo!
She gets pregnant.
Oh, and now, it real quick. So she's at a thing with her agent, and he's like, in private, take precautions. You can
have a gay three-way, but don't let anyone
Just
see
in
you do it.
private.
Yeah.
And then on the front page, three-way.
Oh, that paparazzi.
I feel like that would have been a known, like
Everyone would know about it.
Everyone would have known
This
about
would
it.
be the
Yeah.
biggest Hollywood
Ever.
story ever
Ever.
from the 30s.
Yeah.
This is a complete fabrication. She 100% did date Charlie Chaplin Jr. For like a couple of months. It was nothing like long-term or serious.
Hollywood date.
And it's like
Yes.
and it's
Yeah,
like she did one film with Edward G. Robinson, and it's like apparently they were like acquaintances where it was like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Like that's the level of their relationship. And now, 60 years later, whatever it is, it's like they had gay three-ways together.
I'm questioning this director what he really wanted to see. He just created a movie, be like, hey, let's see some threesomes, some like let's.
Topless
It's
men
literally-
rubbing each other.
Yes. It's like his sex there, or like his imagery, his fantasy happening right there. He's like, yeah, let's do this.
Probably.
So
Like, that's
now
just what it feels like.
So now we get, she gets pregnant and she tells the guys.
Yeah.
And
They're
how would you
happy.
say they take it?
Mixed.
It's almost as if they ignore it.
They're like, whatever.
Yeah.
like, oh,
This is a you
Kinda
problem,
happy,
right?
But like,
Yeah.
they're like,
this isn't going through.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they know like the world they're in.
like, yay? Question mark?
Right, because you can't live like that.
This is the one time that I think the movie makes her the bad guy. It's like she chooses the her career over the child and kills the child, right?
Well, they made a point though to say why
she tried
thought
to
about it.
not do it.
Yeah.
She tried not to do it, but the big reason why she was thinking about not doing it was because of the mental illness.
Yeah.
She was scared that the
Right.
mental illness
Of her mother.
would be passed down to this child, which made her second guess it.
Did we skip the scene when she goes to see her mother?
You
Yes.
just kind of did, but it's okay. So she's pregnant and she goes to see her mother to tell her, and her mother is like a vegetable who's crazy.
Yeah.
And she gets an offer for Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and Jane Russell would get $100,000, and she would get
500 a week.
or 500 a week.
She would get $5,000.
And she hangs up and she's angry, and then she visits her mother, and we get that scene. Now that's real. Jane Russell got the real paycheck, and she got 500 a week for it. She got shit.
Yeah.
Right, because she was the biggest star and she was on loan from another studio. But yeah, like we said before, this whole abortion thing
Nope.
there's no evidence of it.
No, there's
No.
there's no evidence of any abortion.
Right.
Now, what I think he was doing is, because I believe famously the studios forced Judy Garland to get an abortion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was looking up research for this, I saw something about that. But I think he's trying to make her as sympathetic as possible, and I think this was his way of throwing that into the movie.
That makes sense. Just like
And
look
they-
at what they do.
Yeah,
Kind of thing. Yeah.
like this is Hollywood.
right.
But they did it so vulgar.
Not to her.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it was unnecessary, I feel like, to get that point across.
Everything is done in a way that's jarring and fucked up.
Yes.
And
Shock value,
I
so.
mean,
That's what it
obvious.
was.
I think this may be one of the best pro-life movies I've ever seen.
Yes, it is.
It totally
Yes, it is.
Which I think is another reason people hate it.
Sure.
That's what when I said before about how the movie is subversive. That's it. Like it goes against any kind of mainstream convention.
Yeah.
It has a political agenda. However anyone feels about it is up to them.
Sure.
But that is definitely the slant I got from the film.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
100% pro-life.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's done in like weird artsy David Lynch ways, you know. And then there's that
The
throughout the whole
baby's
movie.
talking to her.
Well, that's later, yeah.
They have
Yeah.
the aborted fetus.
Yeah, like why did you kill me?
Yes.
We'll get
Well, I
let's
thought-
get, we'll
Yeah.
get into that.
Yeah, I have a different perspective on that.
Real quick, so Judy Garland was forced to have an abortion by her mother and the studio in 1941. And then in 1943, she had a second abortion when she was pregnant by Tyrone Power.
Wow.
Tyrone.
Yeah.
More than any other movie, this reminded me of Fire Walk with Me.
You said that to me on the phone.
Yeah, you're right.
It's very similar, and
There's so many
it's
twisted scenes.
yeah,
There's like
it's the
haunting.
story of a
It is.
tormented
Yeah.
young blonde girl that just goes off the fucking rails, and then you got these crazy art house things happening. But the final, at the end of the movie, when she does die, you've got that scene where she's surrounded by light.
Yes.
I would swear to you that the music playing is a synth version of Laura Palmer's theme. It's the same music. Watch it again and listen. It's fucking Laura Palmer's theme.
How about when she's lying in bed and you see her spirit kind of go away? That's very.
It's
Lynch.
Twin
Yeah.
Peaks.
Yeah,
it's Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Yes. Shit.
And it
this is
also-
making me like it a tiny bit
It
more.
also has, like, I don't know if anyone felt the same way about this, but a lot of the scenes where it's artsy, I felt was him saying like, look, she's turning into her mother. She's becoming schizophrenic, like talking to the baby.
Oh, there's definitely some of that.
having
Yeah.
the visuals of like
Bob.
while on drugs and like
It's Bob.
yeah.
I think it plays on both parts.
I think so. It's
think it's
open for
both.
interpretation. Like some of them, like one of the abortion scenes, you don't know if it's real or not. One of the one of the scenes where she's talking to the baby, is she just having an internal conversation, or is she actually hearing
Yeah, they
voices?
have like an extended dream, like nightmare sequence of her like escaping the
nightmare
abortion,
sequence.
and like she's running through the house,
I love
and
this
and
sequence,
she
though.
opens the drawer, and there's
Baby's
a baby
crying.
in the
Crying,
drawer,
yeah.
and that reminded me of my friend. He had
Baby in his drawer. What?
no
That's what I
no
was thinking.
yeah.
Oh, the guy with the chest of drawers.
Yeah, he had a chest of drawers, and
No!
he had 3 Japanese men that were staying with him, and they were sleeping in the drawers. And what happened was he left, and they had to get to a meeting, and they got stuck
pass
inside the drawers. And my other friend had to get an axe and cut up the drawers.
You did. You cut him out.
I cut up the drawers, yeah. To get the Japanese men out so they could get to the Nakatomi Broadcasting Company.
What?
That's another Seinfeld.
It's the plot of a Seinfeld episode.
Do you know the episode where...
Never seen that episode.
You never saw the 3 Japanese men in the drawers?
No.
No, it's one of the best
That
episodes.
one I've never seen.
Fucking hate you.
Okay, now that the conversation
Yeah.
brought to a screeching halt,
all right.
where were we?
So now, after the baby in the drawer, the next thing is we meet Gyp Rossetti as Joe DiMaggio.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, Bobby Cannavale.
Yeah.
And he is a goon. He's a guinea
What
goon.
is happening with this? Was he really that? Was he like,
Probably.
He just sat around watching baseball all day, just shut his brain
No,
off. kind
he
of
actually
thing?
had a TV in every single one of his rooms, including the bathroom.
Really?
That was actually a thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad.
Must
they
be
did that,
rich.
I guess.
2 TV. Nobody's got 2 TVs.
What's a rerun?
You'll find out.
They make it seem
I
like
love-
he's a decent dude at first, who's like trying to be understanding, and then they destroy him with being like overly.
He's an Italian working class guy
Yeah.
who definitely was not going to put up with celebrity bullshit.
Yeah.
And he hated the idea of having to share her with the rest of the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love when she's in the kitchen with all the Italian old ladies. That
And
was
just-
fucking great.
Yeah.
Does it come? The pasta doesn't come
Yeah.
from the store. You make it.
They're all they're like they can't believe she's a real person.
Yeah, that,
like this-
that was like the
no-
closest thing to levity in the movie.
But there's no
'cause
way
that's-
she's that dumb.
can't
though.
be that
she
dumb,
is not
yeah.
that dumb. Where she goes, wait, you can make pasta?
Right.
No!
The ditzy blonde from Hollywood can't understand just sitting down.
I think it's more they're trying to make a wasp joke
Yeah.
than her being like
Dumb.
and not knowing how
Well, they
pasta is
failed.
made.
They made it her so fucking dumb.
Now, I will say
joke.
this. In the documentary I watched, they show some like interview footage of her in the time period after she's with DiMaggio, right? So
They were only together for 9 months.
They were together for 9 months. And you see them on their honeymoon. They went to Japan, and they went to Japan because he had a contract to like do like some training with the Japanese baseball team, and she went and entertained troops at an army base in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
It's a win-win.
Cool.
So he barely saw her on their honeymoon, and there's an interview where he's like, "I wish I was seeing Marilyn on my honeymoon." Do you know where he was?
It was a working vacation.
He was already pissed about that. Then when they get back, they're talking, and she's like, "I'm learning to cook. I can broil steak now." Like, that's the interview. So I don't think she really knew how to cook too much.
That was a wonderful impression, Brian.
Thank you.
You deserve
I-
it. The Academy
Can
will
you
be
sing
notified.
Happy birthday now?
Happy birthday, dear Tony.
Why me?
Eye contact too.
Yeah.
Woo,
You asked for it.
you did.
I'm the one who didn't.
But you did with your eyes.
You're right. You're right.
Your wife is going to get you a big birthday cake this year. I'm going to pop out singing to you.
The table's going to go up like this.
In the white dress.
Yes, yeah.
The white dress, yeah.
So, and then she's talking that she can't talk to regular people.
In the movie?
Yeah, like she's like, there's
Yeah.
no point with regular people. Do you remember that?
Kinda.
Vaguely, yeah.
She's saying like there's no reason to
They have no point of context.
because like she was falling into like a weird depression almost.
Now that is complete bullshit
Yeah.
because
Yeah, obviously.
she
job is to talk to
she had a therapist who like was dealing with like her and like all her trauma and stuff. And one of the things he did was he would bring her to his house just to like hang out with like his wife's sister, and like their kid, like their son. And like they would all just talk and like be friendly, normal, like away from Hollywood shit. So she was capable of communicating with regular people.
She
Right.
liked to talk to normal
Yeah.
people. That was the thing. But she did have social anxiety, and she actually had horrible, horrible stage fright. Horrible, crippling
Yep.
stage fright, to where she would spend at least like 2 hours fixing her lipstick because she didn't want to go out on stage. But it wasn't that she didn't want to. It was just something she had. But she's had that since she was a child, and she also had a stuttering problem where when she gets really excited or nervous, she would start stuttering. So a lot of her times, like when she was doing takes, it took her a long time to do so many takes because of her anxiety. She had an insane amount of anxiety, which throughout this time, like, I know we're going to get to the drug aspect, but she started doing a lot of sleeping pills to be able to just kind of calm herself and just get to sleep. And that was one of her biggest downfalls, was the anxiety that she's always had, and the depression just made it worse, and it just completely.
Well, also, childhood trauma
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Like paired with the trauma of being a Hollywood star is not easy.
And trying to break out of this stigma of just being this sex icon, where she just was tired of it. She wanted to show, one, you're allowed to be sexy, and you're allowed to be smart, and you're allowed to be a lot of different things. You're not to be put into this one little category of you're just an item, you're a piece of meat. And she would even say that the producers in the studios would say, you're just a piece of meat to try and make their head not swell up, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with the film. Like
The movie makes her meat.
It does.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But the film almost is like human beings are either all one thing or all the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's
No gray.
Yeah.
Gray.
Well,
You know?
I think he's trying to paint Hollywood in that way. I feel like this is like an attack on Hollywood in a way.
More than
and
anything
Marilyn.
else. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But if it's an attack on Hollywood, then why is she topless through almost the entire movie, even when it's like just in their house? She's always topless, constantly. She's always saying sorry and always saying daddy and always saying, this is pathetic.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. For
The
a strong
characterization,
woman.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of disgusting.
Well, I think they want like it to be Hollywood is making her this thing almost against what she really wants.
She wants to be Norma Jean, but she's forced to be Marilyn. That's
That's-
the biggest theme in the
but
movie.
even in her personal
Sure,
life,
But that's like to your point, the scene in the bedroom with her husband at the time,
DiMaggio.
DiMaggio. He is angry, walks in, and she is sitting there topless. No reason.
Is she?
Yes.
Yeah.
When he hits her?
Yeah.
She's topless.
She's just topless there.
And she's
She never sleeps with the shirt on.
There's no reason for that.
This is exactly
no
to my
reason
point.
at all. And then when she gets
Look,
hit,
it's the
not
50s.
like,
Air
why'd you hit me?
conditioner
Oh,
isn't
Daddy,
really
I'm
around yet. It's hot.
Sorry. I didn't mean to, and she doesn't even know what she did. She
Daddy,
just
I'm
automatically
sorry.
apologizes.
Right.
There's no argument. There's no character development besides you're weak.
That's it.
Which, no
It's
no
not.
person is that.
Thank you.
know, like, it's just, that doesn't exist. And even when there is some character development, it leans to the fact that, oh, she's going crazy. It's not like, oh, she's being stressed and now she's going crazy, and then she becomes Marilyn Monroe. And then it's just that back and forth. That's like the only arcs there.
The movie does not need to be as long as it is because it's very repetitive.
Do you know
we
what?
see,
Exactly,
we
yeah,
see the
yeah.
same things happen. It's just beating her into the point where she's going to kill herself.
Because that's a part of it. They want you to be miserable for the
Yes.
3 hours.
like we said in the beginning,
Yeah.
he hates the audience.
yes.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
watch 3 hours of this shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yes.
You're gonna feel
There'll
like
be some
shit.
cool scenes. There's some, like, I can clearly do cool filmmaking things in this movie. Like, he showed that he can do it, and he's like, but it's not going to be attached to
I love his movie before this with Brad Pitt and
That's
Casey
he's
Affleck.
only ever made 2 movies.
He made 4 movies, I believe.
Oh.
The only one that I had seen is
You said Jesse James.
And I
Jesse
hope he never
James. That
makes
was
another
it.
one.
Yeah.
What is his name? I'm sorry.
sorry.
We keep referencing. I forgot his name.
Andrew Dominic.
Oh, Andrew. Right, he's my brother.
Yeah. Sorry, Killing Them Softly was his last movie. I didn't like that.
With his song.
Yes. So
One time.
in the movie, Charlie Chaplin Jr. and Ed Robinson try to blackmail,
DiMaggio
Yeah.
pictures.
which wouldn't happen.
No.
They have rich, powerful fathers.
Yeah, they're all rich.
They don't
Yeah, but
need-
they're like swarthy gay guys.
Well, I think that was more like, I didn't see it as they're trying to get money. I saw it as them being like, we love her and we have to get this guy out.
No, they want money.
They asked for money, but I took it a little different because it's like they don't need money. They have expensive cars.
Yeah, but he also doesn't need to troll her about her father for like 10 years.
Clearly they have some
Yeah.
motivation to manipulate her and her life.
It was so confusing. The
that I took as
relationship
he
and
was
what-
trying to give her something to cling on.
At first,
You
I
know,
thought
at
it
first,
was.
yeah.
At first, I thought it was because out of love, and they saw him being abusive and not so great.
Right.
But then, as the movie goes on, you're just like, but then all of a sudden they lose contact
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. Their motive doesn't exist, or at least it's confusing.
Yeah,
There's
and
no
it's
reason.
like there's no real like you know there's no dad. It's not like, oh wow, eventually this is gonna be. It's like literally she's reading these letters throughout the movie. I think by the second letter, I'm like, yeah, that's Chaplin.
You figured it out.
You knew
Like,
it was
almost
Chaplin?
almost instantly, yeah.
I didn't know it was
I didn't know until
Chaplin.
the
I
end.
didn't know.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah, I didn't.
I thought it was like a random fan.
No,
I thought so,
no.
too.
Yeah.
I was like, this is them because
He's like, because that's what the gays do.
No, it's a classic movie move. Like, because they're never gonna give you a random person. They're always gonna attach a character, and those characters left early on. So it's like, oh, okay, they're gonna come back.
All right,
at some
smart
point,
audience member.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
sorry.
Put him in his fucking
Yeah.
place.
Maybe someone will agree.
So real quick, do you know what DiMaggio's like claim to fame in baseball is? Do you know?
Being Jolton Joe?
Yeah.
Having Frank
Well, we know he
Fire
dunks his
really
donuts.
fake.
No.
But do you know like what his baseball record
What is it,
like his
Brian?
big one? No.
No.
So he had he has the longest hit streak in baseball history.
Really?
56.
To this day.
He's so good at hitting things.
That's,
So good at hitting
that was gonna be my punchline. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I was setting it up. I was
Good layup.
Say it quick
Good layup.
enough.
Good layup.
I was hoping that someone would know, but it's a 56 game hit streak. One little note about it is if he got to 57, he was going to be the Heinz spokesman, and he was going to be on like all the Heinz
Because
shit
of Heinz
forever.
57?
Yeah, but yeah, the punchline was going to be his 57 game hit streak is nothing compared to the hit streak he had in his 9-month marriage with Marilyn.
Yeah, she did it better.
She beat me to it. Yeah,
Now,
it's okay.
the movie, he is abusive. Was that
Yes,
a real life thing?
100%
Yes.
real.
Okay.
And it's
He's a
actually,
piece of shit.
especially after that one scene where she did go,
That
and
happened.
that actually happened to where the next day the makeup artist actually
Yep.
had to be called in, and she had bruises and welts and everything
All
on her
over.
back,
This
especially
is-
on her back. Yeah.
This is when they were making 7 Year Itch, which is the famous
Well,
scene with
yes.
the subway grate.
Yep.
He beat her with the nudes when those came out, and then he also legendarily beat the shit out of her in the sewer grate scene. From
Subway.
Subway, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, imagine if it was a sewer grate, not as hot. Definitely not as
it's-
titillating.
It's the New York City code.
Yes.
So I just watched the scene, right? Wait, I just watched the scene, and I gotta ask you this because
Okay.
none of us have this experience. The thing.
Have you ever had something blow?
Up your
No, New York City. It's actually happened multiple times.
Okay, hold on. So she's walking on high heels next to the subway grate, and I was amazed that the I guess
The heels don't go
the
in.
spike or the heel doesn't fall through the grate.
it does.
Like I was like, that looks insanely difficult to walk on. Is it? Like-
What you're wearing heels is extremely hard to walk in general.
Okay.
It depends on how thick the heel is, though. It depends on how thick the heel is. That's really what it comes down to.
Because I was watching and I was like, I just was like, I was fixated on where her heel was on the
Couldn't believe the talent.
Yeah, I was like,
What precision?
I was like,
I
how is it
like how
not
She should be a
falling in?
rifleman.
All right, Quin, she's staring at her feet.
Yeah.
Jesus.
No, I was
Well, you said
fascinated by the heel.
It's in his head.
He's the buyer.
Well, I was told that 1 out of every 3 men have a foot fetish, so.
I'll tell you, it's not me. I actually am repulsed by feet.
That's a very accurate statement.
I'm the guy.
Thank you. I didn't want to out
It's me.
you.
I'm the guy.
Feet are gross, and I don't like them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Going to complete
More
opposite.
I don't like the foot. Okay, so where are
I
we?
like that scene though, like when
7
she's
Year
doing
Itch.
the subway.
That might be the most accurate thing in the movie.
It is.
Quick
It's
question.
haunting.
Do you remember the all-girl grunge band 7 Year Bitch?
Yes, I do remember.
Okay, we can move on now. It's a true thing. Yeah.
I love female grunge.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
It is good.
There's a lot of fantastic grunge punk rock women.
Sure.
there. Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God.
Hole.
there's
Josie and the Pussycats.
which is a phenomenal movie, by
is,
the way. So underrated.
Yeah.
So underrated.
I like when they went to space.
Agreed.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Rachel E. Cook, Rosario Dawson. Who's the other one? I always forget. Tara Reid?
Tara.
Is it Tara Reid?
I don't know.
I can't
Yes.
remember off the top
Yeah,
of my
right?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yes.
I think I saw it once when it first came out. It's been a
So
long time.
You should rewatch it.
So, in this scene, like I love how they film it. They film like everybody screaming, and it's like this faded dark thing, and then like, he does a phenomenal job of making like just a normal thing seem very disturbing and haunting, like
Absolutely.
constantly. And this scene like proves it.
Well,
Which-
it kind of
oh,
is.
yeah.
When you think
It is,
about
yeah.
it, it kind of is. It's like,
10,000 people come out to see her crotch.
yeah.
That's really what. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you think about it, it's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, apparently you were able to see her pubic hair.
In real life?
Apparently, that's what I read.
Okay.
What did
I
you
was
get?
able to see the pubic hair.
Half a second of one strand?
Need more.
Exactly. That's why guys were so close up with the cameras. They're trying to get that. Whatever. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm like,
I believe it.
huh.
It's funny
And then
because
you don't
Britney
see
climbed
that
out of a
stuff.
limo only
Yeah.
50 years later.
Exactly.
And the world,
Paving
the world trembled.
what's really funny is
How
like
far we've come.
it's so tame now what she's doing to
Yeah.
our eyes.
Yeah.
It's like whatever. Like the fact that this would be like driving people nuts is like
Well, think
it's a
about
different
before.
culture.
Cover
I know.
your ankle, you know.
I know.
Well, at least she wore underwear.
Yeah.
And actually, in the beginning, with her first husband actually got really mad at her a lot because, like, he was just looking for a normal marriage, and she's not a normal woman, and she would go without underwear a lot because her clothing was so tight. The underwear back then was so bulky, and you would see it, and she didn't
do
like
it.
that. Yeah.
He didn't want her modeling. Yeah, she did that against
Yeah.
her
Oh,
first
yeah,
husband.
and
That's
they
why
just-
they ended up
yeah.
getting a divorce. They got a divorce because he didn't like that. It just seems like all the men in her life
That's why
just
they divorced
couldn't like.
Well, they're men from
Yeah.
a different time too, where it's
Yes.
like the point of being married in like, you know, up until recently is like I basically control you, and you do all the housework, and we have sex.
Well, that's not the point of being
But
married, but that is.
That's what it was, kind of.
Well, even today, that's actually that still happens a lot.
I think it's way more of a partnership now, for the most part.
Yeah, but it's also super disturbing because I'm out dating and I'm meeting guys where they're just like, wait, you make your own money. Like they're expecting. I'm very opposite. I'm very more on the Marilyn mindset of like I'm gonna go do my career. I'm very much of a career woman. They're like, no. Like we're gonna have kids and family, and you're gonna stay at home and blah blah blah. And I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like I hate that, and that's a huge thing that still exists. And unfortunately, I'm seeing it more and more, and it's petrifying. Petrifying.
Well, in this, DiMaggio leaves her for that exact thing. He's in the crowd. Like, they show him, it fades, and you get the attacking scene. But what's weird is they do this scene when they first meet in, like, a diner. And he's like, I understand you. And she says, like, I want a normal life. And then completely doesn't.
She never really
And it's
did.
like, why even bother
This was a
saying-
bad match.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
But, like, to her point, once again, it's like, that doesn't even fit with her character in the movie.
No.
For her to say that. For her to say, like, I want a normal life and I want to be, like...
Well, I think she wanted that Hollywood more than anything else.
But
And a way
that's
out.
Not really
No,
what
She
In
wanted
real life.
kids.
No.
Yeah.
In real life, she didn't want kids until Arthur Miller.
Right.
That was
you
a
go.
thing.
So in the movie, she has a miscarriage with Arthur Miller. She had 3 miscarriages in real life with Arthur Miller.
yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There was no way she was going to have a child because growing up, she had a lot of
She had
a lot of issues.
Was it
Like,
endometriosis?
Endometriosis.
Endometriosis.
Yes.
Yeah, she had that.
Mitrosize.
He's a doctor, guys.
Yeah, everyone knows I have shit pronunciation. You know, and our listeners, they keep coming to our Instagram and shit, talking about my pronunciation. If you've listened at all, you know it's shit. Leave me alone. Leave Brian alone.
Yeah, leave
I
him
feel
alone.
your pain. I get yelled at for saying Riddler all the time, the Riddler. And
What's
they're like,
wrong
no,
with
it's Riddler.
Oh, the Riddler?
yes,
Oh,
but I say
Riddler.
Riddler.
Sounds
all
like
the time.
Ritalin.
That's fine.
Yeah, it sounds like he's a guy who works with
Yeah, it's fine for him. He
with
can't pronounce anything.
hyperactive children.
He loves chocolate.
He's just like a really good doctor.
All
He's
his-
trying to help.
All his
He's just here to help.
crimes are all based around Three's Company plots.
Nice.
So we get Adrian Brody, who is... They don't even give him a name in this.
Well, he's Arthur Miller.
Arthur Miller.
Yeah, but if you look at the IMDb, it just says the playwright.
A lot
Oh,
of
really?
Yeah.
A lot of because they didn't want to give actual names to a lot of
I
them.
think
But
she
it's
only
weird.
calls him daddy, right? She doesn't...
She
Yeah.
calls almost daddy any male
Yeah.
figure daddy.
But she never says
Everyone
his
is
name.
I kind of want to see IMDb as everyone just listed as daddy.
Daddy 1, Daddy 2,
Daddy 3.
Yeah.
Daddy Warbucks. All right, so Adrian Brody is in New York. She's in 1955.
She wants to be a stage actress.
She really wanted to improve her craft, and she went because method acting is starting to become a thing, and she goes and studies method acting with Lee Strasberg.
Like Nosferatu. Method acting.
I don't get
But
it.
it wasn't.
The actor in
Strasberg didn't-
Nosferatu.
Max Schreck.
Method actor. Yes.
He
You
became
missed
a
it.
vampire.
You missed
Yeah.
it. Go ahead. Keep going.
It wasn't method acting though.
Yeah, no, he was just a fucked up looking
No,
dude.
none of that. Lee Strasberg became.
I thought we were still talking about Max Schreck.
He really is a vampire.
No, I thought he was just like a really fucking ugly dude.
I'm pretty sure at the so method acting is more of in the moment. And where you're in the moment, you're going back and forth. What she learned was more of the Strasberg method wasn't method. I could be totally wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure in high school, I went to a performing arts high school, and we studied, if you could look it up, Lee Strasberg did more of emotional recall kind of stuff, where you would go into your past. Method acting is very against that type of stuff.
Right.
Lee Strauss, at least if I'm correct on this, emotional recall is where you're going back into your own personal life, which is kind of what started fucking her up, is going back and you're remembering
They show
things that's
that in this,
happening,
yeah.
and you're using actual memories, where a lot of times when actors do that, they don't know how to get out of that, and they're taking their character into a more of a real
Place.
situation, to where you're now way more connected to it, where it's turns into very dangerous things. And that was this thing that I learned was emotional recall. You would have trigger objects where you would have a very specific object that you would place a very specific memory to. So say...
So when you look at it, you call it up.
Yeah, so say something from my past, say a traumatic incident, or even something happy. Actually, happy is actually a very hard emotion to pull up. It's really easy to bring up anger and stuff because those are easy. To laugh,
You're
to do
telling us.
to do a real laugh on stage, like that's actually very difficult.
Sure.
But if you attach it to a photo or something, you think of a photo or a childhood thing that you were so happy about having, that's a trigger object. And I believe Lee Strasberg is what taught that. When method acting is you're in the moment where you're basically saying "fuck you" back and forth until an emotion comes up. It's in the moment.
So, based on Wikipedia, Lee Strasberg is the father of method acting. There's another method, which I think is Kaminsky. That might be what you're thinking of, which is not method.
He had a park.
Yeah. Based on Wikipedia, that's what it's saying. I don't know.
I can't remember.
it
I should know this. I fucking studied this.
Honestly, though, you don't have to know what it's called. You just have to know how to do it.
Well, she does it in the film, and she starts
Yes.
screaming on the floor because she kind of
Meisner's
stuck
what
in
I'm
there for a
thinking.
second.
That is method acting. I'm thinking
can't get
Meisner.
Meisner.
Meisner
Yes.
is what I'm thinking of. Not method.
Aha.
Haha, that's where my brain went. Words. But yeah, Meisner where it's back and forth. But yes,
Okay.
Meisner, there's so many different techniques.
Styles.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, so 1955,
Is method,
we have
yes.
Brando coming out. Method acting's becoming
Method
a
is
thing.
where you need
Right.
real
Yeah.
yes.
Well, Brando used a lot
Keep
of
away
objects.
from the dairy.
So Arthur Miller, he loved Magda, and he wants to call Marilyn Monroe Magda.
This was so great.
So the
I was
character.
like, not my Magda. And I was like,
Magda would never be cruel.
I wrote that down. I was like very confused. Like,
Yes.
am I a good girl, Daddy? Am I Magda?
that pissed me off.
This was
so
like,
bad.
like it's just egregious.
It does show here that she's a little more well-read than
She's
been
not
portrayed.
dumb.
Yeah.
She's very, very
Right.
well read.
I think this is the one allowance the film has to give her a little bit of that.
Well, I think
not
they
much,
give her
but
hints of
yeah.
her not being a
A
complete
dummy. Yeah.
You know?
But they kind of like ruin it.
Yeah.
Like within a minute of the
Oh yeah. Well,
relationship.
she immediately falls back into the same role.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
this dinner where they're like, yeah, I've read all your work, and I think it's fantastic,
Yeah.
and let me dive deep into this character. Daddy, I mean mashed potatoes. Am I a good girl?
Right. Yeah.
It's like you're about to get the arc. Like there's an arc that's
Yeah.
about to happen where it's like, oh, she's about to dive into playwriting and like becoming this person.
this should
of
have been a happy
talent.
time in her life.
Yes.
They
You know.
kind of portray
Well,
that, but not
it,
really.
It
Like,
can't
it's-
be because Arthur Miller is a
Yeah.
scumbag.
Yes.
In real life, too.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
So, first of all, he's a communist.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Wrote The
There
Crucible.
you go.
He's the Crucible guy.
Yeah, you
Yes.
didn't know that? Yeah.
No, I should have put that together.
Yeah.
Arthur Miller's Crucible.
Right.
It is my name!
And I shall never have another. Speaking
I
of
love
method.
that play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
But
that movie.
It's a great play. He does great work. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal playwright.
Death of a Salesman.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is a big guy.
Yeah.
yeah.
And obviously the press at the time is like, why is Marilyn Monroe with this fucking dork? You know? And they were like the brain and the bod, you know, shit like that.
Right.
But he had made, and they show this in the movie, this is actually real in real life. He wrote like a lot of notes about her that weren't nice. Like they didn't show this exactly in the movie, but he wrote notes like she's a filthy fucking slut.
Yeah.
She's a whore.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
in the movie they show that he just wrote down things she said to use later, which he did in real life after she was dead. In 1964 he put out something, give me a second, I'll pull it up, and it was basically a character was based on Marilyn Monroe, kind of bashing her 2 years after her death.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, he wrote a play
She really couldn't pick him.
that was about how she sucks.
Yeah. She may have the
How
worst
embarrassing.
taste in men.
How juvenile.
Well, towards the end, they wrote what was it? The Misfits.
The Misfits. That was the
Yeah,
last
that's
completed
it.
thing she did.
Yeah.
yeah,
Baby
and
makes
she
suspicious noise.
freaked the fuck out on him. She didn't really.
She didn't
wanna
like Glenn Danzig. Yeah.
Woman.
Yes. Oh my god, I loved his last movie. Did you guys see that? Dance's
No.
last movie.
Oh, I wanted to see it.
It was so good. Oh, you want to see a horrible thing? It was so good. Oh, God.
Baby makes
I
it
love
twitches
it.
knowns.
It's either
It's
after
like,
the fall or Incident at Vichy. I'm gonna guess it's after the fall,
Okay.
but
Yeah, he was a scumbag. He was supposed to be like the Misfits was supposed to be like this gift to her, but it was completely like a backhanded compliment kind of thing, and it actually like she was pissed at this role that he gave her, and like she just has a tantrum. Like the character has a tantrum at the end. And he's like this. She's like, "This is what you think of me."
Right.
She was just and she was also going way downhill at that point.
Yeah, well, now she starts using drugs, right?
Well, she's been using drugs, but the fact is, when you start using sleeping pills, you need more. At least at that time, like she was taking like 23 sleeping pills at some
Holy
point.
shit.
Yeah,
and she lost
Because-
3 children.
Yeah.
Well,
That
was
fucks you up.
It does,
no doubt.
and
Yeah.
that was what she was wanting to hopefully save their marriage. She thought. Because her thing is, her career came first, the movies. Like, she wanted to be a movie star. But to save her marriage with Arthur Miller, she thought, okay, let me have a child. Let me have a child. Maybe this can make it more normal. Because she did really love kids. She did.
She wanted to be a mother. In the documentary, they have a thing where they're talking to all these people playing tapes, and when they get to like this point in her life, someone said, if she had the choice between stardom or being a mother, she would have picked being a mother. That's what someone said in the tapes.
I can somewhat believe it at this point. I would say anything before that. I mean, they made it throughout this entire film that that's all she ever wanted.
That's definitely the driving thing.
And
Yeah.
it's not. Absolutely not. Before this time, she did not. That was not.
Well, I
her
think they
full
want to put
force.
that pro-life message forth,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
need that to be the driving thing.
But before, like, at this point, she has her own production studio. At this point.
In real life?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that's when
Did
she
we
went.
miss that?
When she's with Arthur.
Well, that's when she went over to the actor studio to learn method act, to where she did learn
Yes,
method
you're right.
acting. That's when she said, "Fuck you, Hollywood. I am tired of these roles that you're giving me. I'm gonna go create my own." And she made it with her photographer friend. I have his name somewhere.
But yeah, she took off from Fox for basically a year
Milton
and
Green.
said "fuck you."
Yeah, she created a production company.
Marilyn
with
Monroe
Milton Green.
Productions.
Yep. And that's when Hollywood, because Hollywood never gave her an Oscar. Hollywood never gave her anything, any type of recognition, because they were
Right.
so pissed off at her for leaving, going over to New York and saying, fuck you, creating your own company. That's when she started that. So at this point, she's already established herself and is getting calls constantly doing this stuff. And that's when she went over, I think she went over to England, I think it was, where she's filming something.
Yeah, she
It
goes
was with
Is this in the movie?
no.
No, the
Yeah,
movie.
no.
Have you
No, the
believed
movie.
it?
Yeah.
The movie
Sitting in a
only
garden.
shows you the biggest hits.
Right.
It doesn't show you.
They have
her
that
whole
scene
body
where
of
they're
work.
filming
Some Like It
Some
Hot.
Like It Hot, where she just has a mental breakdown.
Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
like Arthur Miller was completely jealous this entire time, and
Of her
would always have to
celebrity.
figure, but also just of other guys looking at her too. And it
Is it Bus Stop or The Prince and the Showgirl?
It's probably
one of
Prince
those.
and- Prince and the Showgirl.
Yeah.
yeah, because it had what's this? Can you click on that? It has
Laurence Olivier.
yes,
no.
Laurence Olivier hated her because she outshined him in the film. Yes.
And that was a Marilyn Monroe production.
That's the Mahdi.
yes, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
did it?
Oh, my beloveds.
Yeah, that's she put that out. That was her.
Yeah, so but Arthur Miller every day would have to find out what happened on set, and he was very, very jealous of everything happening.
Yeah.
And he got so jealous to where he actually had Marilyn kick out Milton Green out of the production company.
'Cause
And
she
this
just
is
wanted
starting.
to
This
run
is
the
starting
guy.
her downfall as well, where she's starting to lose it because she's taking all of these sleeping drugs. But the thing is, she would go to these sets and be still so tired and knocked out. She would have to take uppers to compensate. So all this, and this started happening. She's been having insomnia since she was a child.
Mm-hmm.
So being able, and she only took them to sleep. Can you imagine just wanting
Wanting to get to
sleep?
sleep and having to take 23 pills.
Yes, and that's all she wanted in order to function every day. It's kind of like what we're obsessed with coffee and energy. Like I had an energy drink before I got here. It's like we're so obsessed with I mean, I do something similar. I'll take melatonin at night and then I'll wake up and have my coffee. But to that extreme,
I usually just take a handful of barbiturates to go to sleep. I try to live the Hollywood life.
Yeah.
Which is so.
Let me get you some
it's
poppers.
so
Have you tried those?
important. her life, like that entire sequence that you just explained, is and to not have any of it. And the only thing we know is that she trips on a beach because she's ditzy.
And
Like,
that is not how she had any of her miscarriages.
No,
and I will
because womanly body parts still wasn't working.
And I will say, I feel like they were throwing that in because in Some Like It Hot, she trips and falls on the beach. And I feel
So
like
it's an homage to the film?
I think it's like a dark, fucked up version of it because she was pregnant while filming Some Like It Hot.
Right.
And she had a miscarriage. So I wonder if he's saying that the miscarriage came from that
movie?
scene in Some Like It Hot.
Right.
Is he trying to subtly say that?
I think he just watched the movies and knew nothing about her. He says that he knew and listened to everything Marilyn Monroe, watched every interview, every documentary of her, and he really knew her.
You don't buy it?
I don't buy it. I think it just sounds like he just watched her old movies and was like, yeah, this is who she is.
Well, that's the second time you said that something like that happened. Yeah.
Yep.
You might be onto something.
Yeah.
Even in that scene, it's like, I don't want to go back to Hollywood. She was starting her own production.
Exactly.
Right.
So, like, you don't want to go back to Hollywood, but you're going to
But
start your own production.
You're working in
to work?
Hollywood.
Like, what
Right.
does that mean?
Exactly. He legit said he knew nothing about Marilyn Monroe until he read the book Blonde.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact too, and the fact that this book is completely fiction.
Yeah.
Great. So that's your first intro to Marilyn is a fiction book about her. Good job.
And then adapting it.
Yeah.
So after the miscarriage, they show her singing in Some Like It Hot, I believe. Yeah, classic thing. And then she starts freaking out, and they take her away and they like inject her in her neck.
Yeah.
Now I will say this.
All right, dame.
Yeah.
You need to calm down.
She's hysterical. Must be that time of the month.
Why?
But
Why in the neck?
yeah.
Places.
Just to be more fucked up.
Just,
Yes.
So
just his arms. We all know where needles go.
I need an artery I can see.
Come here, lady.
Yeah.
What is happening?
I do your eye, but they said it would damage the merchandise. But so this is a thing. She was difficult on the set of Some Like It Hot.
Yeah.
According to Tony Curtis, yeah.
And Billy Wilder, the director.
He hated her.
Yeah, and she had been in 7 Year Itch, so they had worked together before. He said, I'm very happy with how it turned out, but she really wasn't memorizing her lines. She was like fighting with him about every
And Tony
little
Curtis,
thing.
Tony Curtis said she was drunk all the time.
Yeah, she was on pills. Like, she was an extreme problem on the filming
I
of
think
this
it's
movie.
safe to say she probably was a bit of an issue.
At this point, yeah.
But also, like, everyone else in her life was kind of forcing this. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
No one was.
I'm
helping.
not saying.
I mean, she had friends that were. They said like at some point, like every single one of her friends has like helped her, like even like revived her because she's been passed out or something. But I mean, after that kind of a shit, like imagine having to constantly trying to prove yourself. I mean, I personally deal with. I'm a production manager in live entertainment. That's my full-time career, and I'm always around these men. And I always feel like I do have to prove myself. I could not imagine having to do that back then. I could not imagine the difficulties of even being one of the first female to having your own production company. That's insane to me. And trying to prove yourself constantly, trying to stand up for being sexy, but also trying to show that you
Right.
are also smart. And you have all this range, but yet. Being married to these shitheads that like just want to like make you into this housewife
that
and
she's
then-
not in the mold
Yes,
for.
and
yeah.
I'm sure there was probably so much mental illness also happening with her with her trauma of her past. Maybe some were passed. Bipolar, I believe, is passed down. Is a genetic. Thank you. It is genetically passed down. They do believe that's what her mother might have had. Who knows what she was actually dealing with? And she was self-medicating.
She's hysterical.
Self-medicating, drinking, stressed, not sleeping.
Miscarriages?
All the things that kill you.
And she can't leave the house because people are following her, taking pictures all the time.
That's
Yes.
true too. Yeah.
It's like she can't just go for a walk and relax. She's the most famous woman on the planet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do love when there was this thing that Amy Green, who was Milton Green's wife, her photographer, did say, this is what came from I don't know if you guys ever heard the Marilyn effect.
no.
This is something I've loved growing up and something I'm still trying to learn to do, It's where she was walking down the street in plain clothes with Amy, and not many people were recognizing her. And then she said, "Do you want to see her?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Do you want me to turn it on?" She's like, "Yes." And all of a sudden, it's that energy, that confidence. Like, you know how, like, you can, when someone comes in the room, it's like, okay, but when someone with confidence and that energy comes in the room, you can feel that.
It happens every time Ant comes into the show.
He turns it on, yeah.
He came in this room,
Yeah, it's like,
and I was
whoa.
like, shit, who's
Wow.
Wow.
I was like, dang.
The cameras come off. You're going to be like, where? What just happened?
Yeah.
But it's called the Marilyn effect.
Yeah.
And they kind of...
Can we call it the
that.
Angie effect
Show
from now
that.
on?
It's kind of. It's like Marilyn will come out. We'll get her there.
But she had
But she
control
didn't
of
struggle.
it.
Yeah, she
She
struggled
didn't
to get it out.
struggle.
She
Yeah.
just, like, on
She
the
had
instant,
it. She
kinda,
knew what
yeah.
she was doing. She was smart. She's very, her, Lucille Ball, Madonna, I find them just very powerful, amazing, intelligent women who knew how to use their sex, how to get what they want, and they were so intelligent, but a lot of people do, like, not believe that intelligent. They want to see the sex instead.
And you're making me hate this more.
It is
'Cause
definitely got some
it's-
hateable aspects.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Like
the one redeeming thing for me is that it's legitimately subversive. That's it.
yeah.
That's all. That's all the credit I'm giving it because it is not an enjoyable movie. You know.
No, by any means.
All right.
In this scene, she's driving around. That's your daddy. That's your daddy. And crashes a car.
Oh yeah.
Gets out.
Yeah, we
goes
haven't
home,
mentioned it.
Doesn't recognize
She's getting
her
letters
husband,
from her father the whole
Yes.
time.
Yeah, we mentioned.
She doesn't care that much in real life. She never did. Like, she was curious at some point, but, like, it wasn't her driving
It wasn't the driving force of her
Right,
life.
which is what they make it in the film.
where it's tormenting her, and she's like,
Poor
I just have to
girl.
hold on and I'll be able to see my
Right.
dad.
Right.
It's a whore with daddy issues. That is what this whole movie is pretty
Yes.
much about.
Right.
Yeah.
Daddy issues and abortions, yeah.
Yes.
So,
That's the name of my
God.
band. They're playing at the Palladium.
daddy issues and abortions.
Yeah.
What
We
type
rock.
of music?
I would
Or grindcore.
So go and see that.
Grindcore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a total grindcore band. You're right.
You have a
Pig style, just.
Yeah.
I love it. But how
you have a
gruesome
specific demographic you're targeting. Really.
Yes, teen girls.
All right. So now we get the movie premiere of Some Like It Hot, and it's a huge success. And I will say they cast Jack Lemmon's son to play Jack Lemmon.
You don't say.
I
Yeah.
didn't notice that. That's actually pretty
Yeah.
smart.
Is he still alive?
Jack Lemmon?
Yeah.
No.
Too bad.
Yeah, I think he's been dead since for like 20 years. Do you
Well,
know
that's a
why
sour
that
note.
movie is in black and white? I just found this out today.
No.
What?
So they looked so ugly with the girl makeup
Oh yeah.
that they said they look too ghoulish to put this in color.
funny.
Nobody will buy it. We have to make this black and white.
I love it.
That's good.
I love
That's
it.
good.
Is that all you have to do is to make people prettier? You put them in black and white?
Sure.
There's less detail. All our episodes, we didn't tell you that.
Yeah,
all
they're
in
black and white. Yeah.
I fucking wish.
We're big on dog YouTube. People just put us on for their pets.
So now we kind of get.
There's
like,
some
the
schnauzer
start.
out there who knows history.
The start of the downfall, 1962.
Yep.
She's doing medications on a plane, and she's like.
Oh,
going
wait.
back and
Hold
forth.
on. There's a weird
Yeah.
shot where the crowd has like Facebook / like Instagram
Yeah.
filters. You know?
yeah, yeah.
They're like,
Big
they're
mouth
big
filter.
lips.
At the premiere,
yeah.
Weird.
I think to show her that like she's doing drugs.
No, I think it's just
That's what I
like
thought.
The fame is like
Yeah.
overtaking her.
Right.
It's
It's-
overwhelming.
it's
Sure.
David
Why
Lynch
not
shit.
both?
yeah, I guess. Good
Fair.
point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
So it's 1962. She's on pills. She starts vomiting on a plane. And the
Yeah.
plane lands, and she's
Her
like,
life
where
is just
am
travel at this point.
Oh, we're getting to the good
Yeah.
part.
Yep.
And, all right, so
I'm on the phone.
long story short, she's brought
I'll
to
be Brian with
JFK.
Robert Kennedy.
Brought. I mean, what is another word you can say?
Taken?
What?
Dragged.
Yes.
Yeah,
Drag. Taken.
Gifted?
Forced.
Forced.
She's just like escorted there,
Yes.
and he's
She's
on the
not
phone.
escorted
Where?
at all.
She's carried. She's like, she
Yes.
says, she's like, I can walk. And they're like, nope.
No.
Her legs are off the ground in the scene, like physically off the ground, and she's just like, I can walk myself.
The president can't come if your shoes are scuffed, ma'am.
It reminded me of. It reminds me of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We will have sex tonight, but you will be clean. Like, that's what it was. They're like, you have to go clean yourself.
Yes.
These are Secret Service agents dragging a woman to be raped by the President of the United States.
I like to think, so I put a different spin on it. I think she saved the world. I think it's the Cuban Missile Crisis, and he's all like hocked up. He's like, if I don't get one off,
I need to calm down.
yeah. If I don't get one off,
Yes.
I'm launching a nuke at these Russians. And she's like, I'll do what I have to do for my country, Daddy.
For the world.
Yeah, I think she was heroic.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the real JFK shit.
Didn't rape her and give her an STD.
Here's the real JFK shit. I'll sum it up in 2 sentences.
There you go.
She sang the Happy Birthday song at the Democratic National Convention in public, and that's it.
Nope.
No.
No?
No.
He was
So-
a known playboy.
Well, yes.
Yes.
But
Hold
there's... We don't know.
Oh, we do know.
We do?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It was
Oh,
known
well, I'm
at
about
a
to get
very
put in my
specific
fucking
party.
place.
Yep.
Oh.
So, this is all confirmed. So,
By whom?
all right.
The people at the party.
Wait, real quick. Can you give us the background on the JFK Hoffa shit? Sum it up briefly.
Oh, okay.
As briefly as
Jimmy
possible.
Hoffa was the head of the Teamsters Union.
Who's connected to the mob.
Right. He was murdered at some point. I think it
don't
was
know
after
that.
this.
Allegedly.
But supposedly the mafia was very heavily involved in the Bay of Pigs shit, where the idea was to get all these Cuban refugees that had been pushed out of Cuba after Castro took power, and then drop them on the beach in Cuba to retake the country, and then use the American Air Force to support them and bomb the Cubans into the Castro Cubans into submission. At the 0 hour, the Kennedy got cold feet and called the whole thing off, and all these people got left on the beach and were slaughtered by communists. The mafia didn't like this. The Secret Service didn't like this. All the military didn't like this, and a lot of people believe this is the start of what got Kennedy shot in the head.
Okay. So, but Bobby Kennedy is the
Yes.
Attorney General.
And he went after the mob.
He went after the mob and Hoffa, right?
Yes.
So the mob retaliated by trying to get dirt on the Kennedys. So there was this known house in California. I think it's like the Hathaway House, something like that. It's something with an
It's
H.
a halfway house.
Yeah.
It's just where there's some recovering addicts
Yeah.
and
But they
All of Hollywood and every politician. Yes.
they knew that when Kennedy was a senator, before he was president, he would go to California and he would party and talk to Marilyn Monroe and like all this shit. So they bugged the
would you like to
house.
see my back brace?
Do you know how I got this? I carried 50 men.
Yes, I had to save PT 109.
But it was bugged, and they had conversations of Bobby, Marilyn, JFK all together. She slept with both Kennedy brothers 100,000%.
Ted, right?
No, not Brave Teddy.
Chappaquiddick Ted.
Yeah.
At some point, like the Kennedys actually dropped her after the birthday because she was really fucked up when she sang it. Like everyone, especially her friends, were like, "This is not."
Have you ever seen the
real."
footage?
Yes.
She's very obviously
She's-
fucked up.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're like, "What the fuck is she on?" And then they dropped her because they're like, "This isn't good." But she always thought that Bobby would leave his wife for her. So she was like, she's starting to severely lose it at this point.
And in fact, the night of her death, there are some people who say that Bobby Kennedy was there and left.
house?
And there's a helicopter which left from L.A. to San Francisco before. If you watch this documentary on Netflix, they go through the tapes. And the last half an hour is all dealing with the Kennedy shit. And it's so interesting.
You think she was murdered by the Kennedys?
So the guy at the end goes,
Interesting.
I do not think she was murdered by the Kennedys, but I do think the government covered up the circumstances of her death and deleted all evidence and photos of the two of them together when it's known they were in several locations before. And like there's all these interviews and shit that you're hearing like on this documentary, and basically it's like she 100% was in love with Bobby. The reason it got shut down when it did is you have to remember she was with a communist. Marilyn Monroe kind of became a communist. So some people in the government at this point are like, we do not want to see a communist with the president of the United States. We have
Especially
to,
when he's already being accused of being soft on comedy.
exactly. We need to break this off. Coincidentally, that ties into when she dies.
That's interesting.
I love conspiracy theories, and I hate the government, but she was doing a lot of drugs.
I do not think. I personally don't think she was dead, but I do think they covered tracks.
She wasn't murdered.
Yeah,
She was dead.
She was dead. Yeah,
Just clearly
no,
dead.
she just went home.
Been buried alive. We gotta get her. We gotta save her.
Did she go to like Brazil and like she's hanging out with Hitler or something like that?
She's with Elvis.
It's Argentina.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, that's...
Watch this documentary. It's
I
called
need to
The
watch
Marilyn
it.
Monroe
Probably,
tapes. At least the last half hour, because honestly, we covered like all the early shit.
Right.
And it's really that last half hour where they dive so deep into this president shit, where like they call up EMTs, and the EMTs are like, I was there at 11 o'clock. Now she was pronounced dead at 4. They're like, we drove her to the hospital. She died in the hospital on the way. The hospital told us to bring her back.
How far away was that hospital?
What do you mean?
You said they were at 11 and then she died at 4.
They brought her back.
Oh.
And then the housekeeper found her at
I know the
4
housekeeper
a.m.
called- yeah.
and broke the window to
Yeah,
get
that
in.
I
Why
heard.
is the housekeeper checking on her at 4 a.m.?
Yeah, I heard the housekeeper stayed there overnight. So there was obviously some issue going on.
I'm telling you, there's
some
something
dubious circumstances.
There's something weird about how she died. It's not like she died and they found her the next morning.
Yeah.
You know? And like some people are like some of the EMTs are like, oh, when we found her, she was on her side. And it's like famously
You can't die that way.
Well, famously, when they found her, she was on her belly. Like, you gotta watch this
Yeah.
documentary and hear like all the people giving the details.
Okay.
I can't do
People
it justice.
are also terrible at recalling information.
Yeah.
So it's tough to really say that too.
But-
Even interviewing people.
But
it's
the pilot, there is a pilot who says
Did it get picked up?
he says I took yeah, it got picked up. It was a show about nothing. They gave the pilot says I 100% took RFK from LA to San Francisco that night.
Wow.
Right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
you know.
It's possible. Anything's possible.
All right. So in the movie,
Completely different.
JFK
Rapes her?
just she blows him, and then she's
rapes
like
the most awkward
sitting there.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't even.
While on the
It's
phone
not.
with someone.
And we get to hear
I think
her
the
inner
film's, like,
monologue
also-
while
Yes.
she does
And,
it.
and he's like, yeah, all these women that you're with, and blah blah blah.
Right.
Yeah.
How awesome you are, JFK! You're so cool, boomer liberal Jesus.
And then he rapes her.
Yeah.
Literally, like.
And
I
What
always come back for seconds.
What about the Apollo rockets firing on the
Yes.
TV?
Yeah.
The imagery of that.
UFO crashing into the White
Yeah,
House.
that one, and he's like literally coming, watching the fucking everything, the White House being destroyed.
He's dirty talking, and it's like it's uncomfortable, but
I think
Biden,
don't
sweetheart.
I don't dislike the fact that this is in the movie, but to have it be like you said, like it destroys her character.
It's
but at the
so
same
gratuitous.
Time, is it a symbol to be like this is what power does?
that I
Is
don't.
that what it is?
I don't hate that
Like,
if
you
that
know?
is the point. But I
know.
think it's done poorly to be able to convey if that is the point, because there's so
Right.
much other things happening
Yeah.
that where if that was the point, I think it could have been done way differently instead of just her with her
Rape,
hand on her
yeah.
mouth. Like that was just that close-up scene of her
Yeah.
sucking dick.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that comes to him making you like hating your audience and making you feel uncomfortable.
Oh, I
But
thought you
the
were going to say
reason
that's what
for-
Brian looks like.
That's what Brian does. Yeah. Same exact.
Yeah, I look just
Same
like
exact
Marilyn.
inner dialogue, I
Anna.
assume. But like away from the uncomfortableness of it, just the situation of being dragged and raped by the president. is that not like a message of like, oh, this is what power can do?
I would love
I
that
guess.
if it was.
I don't know.
And that's the thing is,
That's how I took it.
I
definitely-
would love that because we deal with that constantly still today.
Right. Yeah.
It's a very like Weinstein type of thing, and
Yeah,
it constantly happens. But for her, if this was a different character, I would have liked that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not Marilyn would at this point of who she is. There is no way in hell she would have ever let
She
someone
willingly
treat her.
slept with the Kennedys.
Yes,
That's like, yeah.
she was in love with Bobby.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't a forced thing.
Right.
And I know she says in the car during this movie, like, it's nothing sexual. There's just like this
Right.
energy.
I don't
Yeah.
care about
Right.
sex.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
That's not who she is. Like,
Right.
ugh.
And then she gets pregnant with JFK's rape baby.
Right, and then is
Forcefully removed.
is this a dream? It is, right?
No.
I don't know.
I don't
No.
think
No,
it
Okay.
because
is.
she wakes up
She
in the
wakes
morning
up.
and
Covered
she's
in
covered in blood.
Yes.
Was she,
Right.
They
though?
couldn't even wipe her off.
But was she?
So wait, so the whole scene is in night vision.
don't know.
She's
Yeah.
like walking
Yes, we
around
do.
in the pitch black.
We really don't know. They don't make it like it's not definitive.
I think it's pretty definitive.
Yeah, because that was the whole thing where it looks like she woke up from a dream until you see the blood
Yeah.
and
Right.
the day continues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's kidnapped and
She's-
then given a forced abortion. It's fucked up and
Or
awful.
did she have a miscarriage like
That's
in
I
bed?
honestly thought that
Because
I'm
you don't know.
I'm kind
They
of
don't
with
really-
you, but I don't know.
You're gonna tell me
I
they
don't
forced an
know.
abortion and then
Right.
she runs into the burning house
I
and then wakes up dirty. They don't clean her. That makes no sense.
I thought we were seeing a dream and then she wakes up and had a miscarriage.
That's what I thought.
I didn't even think.
But at the same time, that's still not even.
They show a shot from
100%,
inside her
really is.
vagina. I
Yes.
think you're supposed to.
Now, how did they get a camera up her cervix? That's some amazing filmmaking. What technique?
Technology.
Is that a GoPro?
Well, now like you can't even like now apparently for like colonoscopies and stuff like that, you can like swallow a pill that has a camera in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
No
That's-
way.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yes.
robot shit.
Yeah.
that's
One of my
exactly what it
coworkers
is.
just-
It is robot
My
shit.
coworker had no problem telling me all about it.
You
So-
have one?
All right.
Ryan, bend over.
Ah, fuck.
What was this in?
My Jeep.
Gee.
Is that what you call it?
Noise.
Going in.
Are you stick up the asshole or the dick hole?
Either way, we're having a rock and roll time.
That's pretty thick. That's
Yo.
thick.
There are
That'll go
some.
up your ass.
Oh, it'll go up the dick hole.
Forcefully.
There's a fetish for everything.
right.
But yeah, just that entire like how. Also, the CGI of it took me out. It just didn't feel like it fit so well. But also,
Yeah.
dude, like stop.
Yeah.
Stop being edgy.
While this was happening in my house, I literally stopped the movie and go, "Is this fucking over yet? I can't take this anymore." So it was not. I was very much not enjoying myself.
No,
at
it
this
made
point.
my vagina hurt.
Yeah, I would imagine it would.
I was like,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
And now we get another father reading. I
Well,
believe.
yeah. So Chaplin sends one last letter where it's
Jesus
Well, he's
Christ.
dead.
he's dead.
Yeah.
dead already.
And she's upset that he's dead.
And the other guy's like, he got you a package.
Yeah.
He wants you to have it.
Classic Alki death.
Everything
Choke
else
on
was to
vomit.
me, but there's one thing for
Right.
you.
Yeah.
They loved each other, guys. The
Yeah.
Gemini hack.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Gemini.
Yeah.
Gemini loved hack.
And
Hardcore.
he sends her this box, and she opens it, and it's like the rabbit from when she was a little kid and a letter. There was never a
A
father.
loving father. Yeah.
I made it all up. I've been
She
fucking
just has
with
a
you
mental
for
breakdown.
like 15 years. And that's the end of her in the movie.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's her over the edge. It's time to kill myself. Yeah.
Yep. And then, the thing with her death is it was chronicled as a suicide
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
for many years. And in fact, suicides actually rose in LA after her death.
Really?
Yeah, after she got,
What a
down as
trendsetter.
suicide. Yeah.
Iconic. She was so iconic. She
Yeah,
started suicide
yeah.
in Hollywood. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
And
all
then
the cool people are doing it.
Now if only we get the rest of them to finish the job. Those fucking assholes.
Don't let your dreams be dreams, Andy.
More cameras.
what is Get 'em giving?
Power bank just in case.
I don't know if we need
It's
that.
what? Oh, it's starting to rain? Okay. Thank you.
All right.
So that's Blonde, guys.
Yeah.
Blonde.
So I hate it.
So what we do now usually when we finish these episodes, we ask everyone to rank the film on a 1 to 10
Yeah.
scale.
So what would
Yeah.
you give it?
I'm going to let Steve go first.
Yeah.
Can I go first?
You go ahead, Brian.
Yourself out.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
It's well made. I respect a film that just has such contempt for humanity and everybody watching it.
Yeah.
I can't help. I don't like it.
You can't. No one can.
But I respect it.
Yeah.
Where sometimes it's like, that's enough.
Right.
I'll never watch this again.
No, never. Yeah.
How do you respect it? Where?
Because it's such a fuck you. Like, I just have to be like, yeah. It's like,
They wanted to do something and they did it.
Did you
Yeah.
ever see Only God Forgives?
No.
Okay, that's another film that's made to just like. So Nicholas Winding Refn did Drive, right? Did you see Drive with Ryan Gosling?
No, but I know of it.
Okay,
It's a clip.
awesome movie.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best movies of that decade. His follow-up movie is marketed just like Drive. It looks like it's going to be Drive 2. Ryan Gosling's back.
Driven.
And no, it's called Only God Forgives. And it's a complete fuck you to the audience at every turn. It is impossible to like.
Okay.
And it's like, I just got to respect
love it.
something
Yeah.
that's just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it happens so rarely.
Right. I was kind of on your side with your rating, but not the reasoning. I gave it a 7 as well, just because it's filmed well, it's acted well, looks great, the score is amazing, the history is abysmal, so I took points from that because it actually, if the history was more accurate and it was well done like this, it would have. This could be like a 10 movie, but it's not there. I like the fact that it's a mirror on Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Hollywood, look at what you were and still are. Go fuck yourself. I took it like that. Not so much as I hate the audience, but like I hate the industry. I got more of that from the movie than anything. And I was like, yeah, fuck them. What about you?
5.5.
Okay.
5.5. For this, everything you guys said, plus I have to be a little harsher on it just because the history's so abysmal. It's,
Okay.
it's really
You're
bad.
a history guy.
Usually. But this one, I think I dropped the ball a bit. Thank God you guys are here.
All right. Ready?
Don't feel pressured.
No,
Yeah.
no. Trust me. I would say probably a 4.5 because I do think it's shot beautifully. I think the acting was great, and same thing with the score. I 100% agree on that. I do like the fact of saying this is what does happen, and if you do want to make it about human connection or what happens in Hollywood or how trauma can affect, yes, I could see that, but you're taking an iconic figure and you're diminishing her. You're taking this iconic figure and you are making her into something that she always hated in real life.
Yeah.
I could never imagine passing away and then someone making a film about me of everything I always hated.
Portraying you as the exact opposite of everything you stood for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would absolutely hate that. So I think it doesn't do justice on the figure alone, but I think if they made that into a fictional character, I would have truly liked it.
All right.
Besides
Okay.
the CGI baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take out the CGI baby.
Talking CGI baby.
It was always
far
me.
we-
It was always me.
How
What
far
the
we've
fuck?
come from Ally McBeal.
Ooga chaka.
Yeah.
You have a drawing.
I do. So every episode, I do a sketch of the movie.
You have to
can go
describe
first.
this.
You can describe what you see as the sketch. If you can make out what that is supposed to be.
Is it a stick figure with boobs on a
It is a stick figure with boobs.
on a pedestal?
Nailed it.
Kind of.
That's what I got.
Okay.
Nailed it. Let's see.
Let's see.
All right.
You're pretty close. There is a stick figure with boobs.
Sweet.
Birthday cake. It's coming out of a birthday cake. Happy
Yeah.
birthday, Mr. President.
Yes.
Nice.
And obviously,
but it wasn't
she
a
never
movie.
came out of the birthday cake.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
That's a pop. That's
Yeah.
That's like pop culture osmosis where people like assume that, but it never happened.
Right.
What?
It. You know what? That's
Lurch, was she in there before you baked?
This is
Yeah, Adam's
This
Family
is
Values is the shit.
the worst hair on any
Yeah.
figure. It's not even hair.
Brian, you're not trying anymore.
I was trying.
Right.
I was.
Come on.
He
Wait.
does this every show.
on.
How could the hair have been
Embarrassing.
better?
You should go away.
It's a stick figure with boobs. Well, you know what it is.
It doesn't even have arms.
It doesn't have
It's
arms.
just boobs.
I felt like if I did arms, it would take
It would take away from the
Why
boobs.
does the like?
Well, she's in the
I don't think
cake.
that's the cake.
It also doesn't even look like a cake. It looks like a podium.
Yes.
Like it doesn't look like a cake.
Where's
It's a
the
tiered
candles?
cake.
You could have made it bigger. No,
But
that's
there's no
it.
bottom.
How about a candle, for Christ's sake, you piece of
Something.
shit?
Anything.
Balloons, confetti.
Anything.
So it's not decorative enough.
I
That's the
think-
problem.
This is more disgusting than the movie. Than
Thank
a little upset.
It is.
Yeah.
This is my middle finger to the audience at the end of every episode.
That's what it is.
Do you know somebody bought a shirt recently? I think we have to allocate those funds to get him some drawing lessons. It's getting bad.
All right, Brain, wrap it up.
Before we go, I did want to. Crystal, do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm Crystal Quin. Really just find Crystal Quin on like any social media, and I'm a co-host on Hack the Movies. It's the podcast I do with Tony where he has a lot of different guests, but we just talk about movies, all different things. I love to do a lot of more of the DC comic book type ones or a lot of the horror, so you can usually find me doing those. Yeah, just I don't know, check me out on social medias. I do a lot of random shit.
This was really great. Thank you for joining
Yeah.
us
Yeah,
today.
that's
Thanks.
awesome.
I had a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I hope you come back one day.
No.
Yes.
Okay, I don't blame you. I did want to ask you, how did you end up like involved with Hack the Movies? Like, how'd that happen?
Oh. How much do I want to get into this?
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's a long thing, but Tony started doing Hack the Movies a long time ago by himself. He works with Screenwave, which is a media company that also, if you guys never heard of, Cinemasker, Angry Video Game
Yeah,
Nerd.
I know Cinema.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with James Rolfe, who's a friend of ours. So Screenwave works with James Rolfe, doing Angry Video Game Nerd, and they used to do rental reviews, which was on the Cinemasker, and then they decided to stop doing that, and a lot of the set was Tony's, and he's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna start doing my podcast in here, and I had a mutual friend at the point, and I was brought on for one episode just to be like, what was it? Family Values, but it was the concert Family Values instead of the Addams Family one. It was just like a little.
Oh God, that like new metal thing from the '90s.
Yeah. So I was looking for Addams. I was looking for Family Values.
Yeah.
And they're like the Addams
The real
Family.
Family
And I was like, no, the real one. And that
With
was
Limp
my
Bizkit and like Static X.
and that was my debut on that show.
Okay.
And then I just started doing more and more, and now I've been doing guesting on a lot more podcasts of all different types of things, and I'm just having so much fucking fun with it.
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah, because I used to do a whole bunch of indie horror films. I still do indie horror film acting. And
Okay,
all that other
cool.
Stuff. And I'm doing more and more stuff. So yeah, it's just adventure time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Come back for
So-
Halloween. We'll do spooky
Yo,
movies.
I'm
We do
totally
that.
down. Really?
Yeah.
Yo,
good.
I'm your girl. I got
All
it.
right.
I got this
All right,
shit. I got it.
Spooktober.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Well, what should they do, Crystal? What should our audience do? Do you know?
Shut
Like
the
life?
podcast off.
Yeah. Stop wasting your time.
Yeah. Go do something.
This life is
fun.
finite.
Yeah.
If Marilyn taught us anything, it's you need to get yourself out there. Work hard, and you can achieve your dreams.
Find your daddy.
Stop wasting your. Yeah.
Like and subscribe, all that stuff,
All
right?
the stuff. Yeah. Like, subscribe.
Ring the bell.
And
Yeah.
yeah, don't have daddy issues.
There you go.
All right. I want to thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please follow us on all social media, Reviewing History Pod, RView History Pod everywhere. RView History Pod on Twitter, Reviewing History Pod everywhere else, www.reviewinghistorypod.com. Buy some merch, all that good stuff. Follow me personally on all social media, Brian Rupert. That's Rupert with 2 P's. Follow me on Letterboxd. I rank and review every single movie I watch. Thank you to Tell 'em Steve, Dave, Bry Walt, Q, Get 'em, letting us record down in the studio. Thank you guys so much. Thank you all for listening and or watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
He-Man.